at the end of the day, we're an automotive company. I always say that's who we are. We make tools, things that move in some fashion or form.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether they've got tracks or wings or
Yep.
wheels, or doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's got moving bits. That's what we try and look after.
Mr. Tom from Mr. Tom. Your last name's Tucker.
That's correct. But don't call me Mr. Tom. That's what all the Chinese call me when I was in China.
sounded like I had a bit of an inflection into it. Tom, SP Tools Tom. How are you, buddy?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me along.
Mate, thank you for making the trip down and for bringing SP Workshop Lager for any eyes out there that are keen on what is normally in that thing. We've got a different brand. We've got the SP Tools. Jeez, we've got a boy. We've got the SP Tools Lager and the SP Tools Stubby Curlers. So we're going to give this a red hot crack.
Geez, yours the one that had the... Oh,
Hey,
no, me too. Oh, look out. I've spilled it before I've even started.
That's all good. Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
one up.
Thank you.
So you're not wearing it down your shirt. But, mate, thank you very much for coming down.
Yep.
Get that in there and we'll
Cheers.
do a cheers and kick it off right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
Thanks,
mate.
There's one. We'll have one for you, Johnny.
There we go. That's cleaned that up.
That's not bad. That is not bad. So you were saying you've done a few cases of these. You can buy these online, can they?
You could. It was a promotion we did.
Right.
Sort of leading into Christmas last year and probably then leading up to Easter this year.
Yeah.
And so because it was a limited thing, we've just done it as a limited edition. Yeah. We might do a rerun probably next year sometime now, which is a bit of a special, pull it out of the thing.
Yeah.
Next time we might just do a bit of a different flavour or give it a twist. Who knows?
I like it. It's a good idea. We need Wildside beer. What did you call it? Wildside Workshop Lager?
We're Workshop Lager, or, as we were just talking about, Tools Down Lager. Small error there. But, we put it out, just a celebration to our customers, because I don't know many mechanics out there that don't appreciate a cold beer after a long, hard day.
No, I'm definitely in the consumer group of the cold beer. That's not a bad drop. I like that. That's good. Now you've come for a run over because we've got like a heap of different stuff going on, and getting you guys on board for this was pretty exciting for me, because like all of our brands, it's, there's some relationships that we've had up there for a long time, and then there's some new ones, and dealing with you guys has been really fun. A lot of the products are just, it's for what I do. Shit, you can't go past it. It's good gear.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
What's a bit of a rundown for people that might not be familiar with, like maybe yourself and that. What do you do with SP and a bit of history on SP?
Well, I guess I run the place now. That's probably the best way of putting it.
Nice.
Or I'm the one who takes the ultimate blame when things don't go right. That's probably the job of any senior management when you get to that point. But, look, at the end of the day, like most people in any industry, you start at the bottom, don't you? And I did exactly the same. Came along as a salesman in the day, and then I end up running the place and being one of the owners of the place. So
really,
so bit by bit we've developed from. I know this sounds weird, but I've always had this sort of weird attraction to tools. I came from a civil engineering background. Bulldozers and designing bridges and buildings.
Yeah.
So to go from doing that to doing hand tools, but I've always been a bit of a race nut. Be it originally, it was boats was my probably go-to. If you couldn't kill yourself with speed, try and drown yourself afterwards. So one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that's just morphed into it. But I, ended up as a young fella living and breathing around that world. So you're using tools, getting used to it. So there was just always that sort of, innate knowledge of what was good and what was poor.
Yeah.
And I learned pretty early on that you just couldn't go down to the good old hardware shop and buy what you really wanted to do the job. You had to go looking a bit harder. So I guess when the time came for us to do that, I went out and talked to all the guys out there in the world and said, what do you want? Because I know this is what I'd like if I was building myself a toolkit.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, what I wanted and what they wanted, probably was only that much different. Mine just had to be rust proof.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah, working on boats and salt water, that's always fun.
Yeah.
So I had no idea that you'd started like literally at that sort of level, and that's is what the history of SP then. So how does that sort of play out for like Australia and all that?
Well, SP, and I get this question all the time. What does SP stand for?
Right.
So, we have 1,000 different silly versions that we go, no, we're superior products and we're something else. But in reality, it stands for a brand called Shinano Pneumatics.
Right.
So our original heritage, and I'll literally go back a long way here, 1945, post-World War II, the Americans are feeling a little bit guilty after they'd done the Japanese a bit of a misdeed.
Right.
So they went in there and they basically started new industry to try and get Japan back up and running and on its feet.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the parent or the very early versions of our first, what is SP today, had a small jobbing shop and started making bits for tape measures for Stanley.
Right.
Who today is our competitor, which is quite bizarre, isn't it? Helped us get started.
Yeah.
And then that's morphed along the years and it came along, and then originally we were just a brand called Shinano, and that's based on the area that the brand started. There's an area called the Shinano River and the Shinano Prefecture in Japan, which is in an area which everybody knows called Nagano, where they held the Winter Olympics 20 odd years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think every second Australian now goes to Nagano snow skiing for Christmas because it's become, the best place to get on the beers and ski down what is pretty awesome slopes.
Yeah.
So the original air tool factory, which is what we then became, and that was called SP and then became called SP Air, and then today we're SP Tools. So it's morphed from one to the other, and it's gone from being a Japanese-owned company to a joint venture to now a wholly owned Australian company.
That seems a little backwards to what you would normally expect, isn't it? It's normally something starts like, homegrown and gets sold.
Yeah,
whereas it's ended up here. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a bit back to front, and it was because we had a relationship as our original company with the SP Air Company in Japan.
Yeah.
And then we both sort of collaborated and said we think there's a big area that's missing in the market right now for a really good quality, reasonably priced tool that we can sell not just in the Australian market for our interest, but on a global market. So initially it was just going to be Australia and Japan and funnily enough, selling tools back into China, because at that point in time, as a joint venture, we'd opened an office in China for sourcing other bits and pieces and saw the need that the automotive industry, which was booming, as in manufacturing-wise, so the likes of VW and BMW and Mercedes, they were all opening plants there.
Yeah.
And they needed high-quality equipment. So we went there to sell high-quality equipment into not just the manufacturing industry, but the servicing industry.
Yeah.
And then this all sort of, organically grew from that. And it just came out. In 2006, we decided, well, let's make this happen in Australia. So we decided to launch the products here, and the market obviously liked what we offered.
Yeah.
Because here we are today.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a crazy story. It is. It's so backwards to what you would expect to sort of happen. But, I mean, as far as getting over here, so 2006, it launches in Australia. And what hits the market over here first? Is it still mostly air?
Well, Air had been here with us since the 90s. So we'd actually started back in the 90s selling the air tool product.
Yeah.
The hand tool product, or what you call SP Tools today, it started in 06. So we'd already had a large customer base that were ready to listen to us if we were telling them.
Right.
I guess we had the great reputation that we probably made at that point, as far as the Australian market concerned, was one of the best quality air tools.
Yeah.
So when we walk in and said we've made hand tools on the same level as what we make our air tools, we had an element of trust. We could only do one thing, and that was break the trust. So inevitably, what we asked and what we made was something that was up to the same par as what our air tool program was.
Yeah.
Market bought it, it worked, and away we went.
It's always amazed me how a lot of the hand tools like spanners and stuff like that is like obviously not the forged crap, but because it's all done with there's no heat added to the process. It's just the manipulation of the metal that generates heat or something like that, and that's how they stay strong.
It's really comes down to the trick to making good hand tools, no matter what they are, is the right selection of raw material.
Yeah,
that's the number one. If you can't select the right raw material, then you got no chance. And that's why most, and I'm not trying to sound racist here, but most of the Chinese-made product that's out there just never quite cuts it, because they just simply can't source the right material, from their own steel mills. They don't make it.
Right.
Japan and Germany in particular sort of have a lot of patents on particular blends of steel. So if you want to use those steels, you've got to go to those Japanese or German steel makers to buy it. And, you know, call them tricky, but the Japanese and Germans have sort of positioned themselves such that they won't hand that over to the Indians and the Chinese because they don't want to give away their ability to stay relevant in the market. So from our point of view as an Australian company, we could purchase steel in Japan, make stuff in Japan, and also make stuff in Taiwan, which is, you know, quite friendly market with Japan. So you have the ability to do that. So first you've got to buy that right raw material.
Yeah.
Second part of it is hardening.
Yeah.
You know, the process between turning the raw material into what is almost the finished product, you know, involves heating it up and then stamping it and grinding it and cleaning it, getting the right shape. But then when it goes to the hardening process, hardening's a bit of a tricky game. It's not, you know, there's basic hardening anyone can do. You can do it out the back of the shop here.
Right.
Go and heat it up and drop it in a bucket of oil, pull it out.
Yeah.
You've somewhat hardened it.
Yeah.
Is it great? Yeah, maybe.
We've done that for some
you might
bike seat springs and stuff like that in the past, but not a tool.
You might have fluked it, got it out. Geez, that's good.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of that goes on. You know, there's plenty of people out there that grind their knives on a belt, drop it in a bucket of oil, and actually works pretty good.
Yeah.
But really good hardening is literally a mathematical equation, and not one, you know, millions. So you can get it right down to the perfect, you know, hardness and with that material for that shape. So hardening's dependent on material type, how long you heat it up, how long you cool it, you know, with all the processes you go through. And one of the benefits of our original Japanese company, which a lot of people don't know this, is that the original CEO, who's long passed away now, and a terrific guy, he was a bigger racing up than I am. So much so he ran and operated the Honda, you know, team in Japan, so in their local GT racing series, like our V8 supercars here in Australia.
Yeah.
He was the Honda team. Well, you know, that's like being the Holden dealer team, or that was the team.
Yeah.
Off the back of him owning that team, Honda was at that point in the 80s getting bigger and bigger into Formula One and to Indy.
Yeah.
And he started a company in conjunction with Honda called SSK Corporation, which all they did was make small components and specialty hardening of those small components. So, and that was all around F1 and Indy parts for engines and brakes and all those bits and pieces. So all that technology funnily flowed enough into the air tools, which in turn has now flowed off into the hand tools. So you had this sort of, you know, massive amount of money spent in the 80s and 90s developing these systems, which we now get the benefit of in you know, the parts we make for air tools and hand tools.
Yeah.
And just to give you an example, this is just a really bog example, but if I make an impact wrench hammer or an anvil, which you know what that is.
Yeah.
If I make one in the China market and buy about the best I can get, if we put it in a life testing machine, we get 2 to 4 hours and it's done. I make the same thing in the Taiwanese with about the best material, 8 to 12 hours and it's done.
Yeah.
Same out of the Japanese material and hardened in Japan, 30 to 40 hours.
What's an hour representing?
An hour of constant hammering.
Yeah.
So actually turn the impact wrench on and just bang, 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 bang. Or ugga-duggas.
Yeah.
An hour, 40 hours of ugga-duggas and that's what it'll last before it starts to lose power.
Wow.
So that's the sort of difference you get from the right material and the right hardening through to a lesser material and lesser technology and hardening.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's a lot more in depth than the bit of stuff that I could find out online. Because it was,
and it's a lot more in depth than what I just told you. Because trust me, I sit on the front, even though I'm in that engineering space where I understand it. Yeah, the guys that do those calculations and the knowledge in there is unbelievable.
It's like a lot of different things though. Like you said, getting it to the basic shapes pretty quick, but then the rest of it. So it's like 90%. Well, 90% of the work is pretty quick, but so 10% of the work takes 90% of the time because it's all that fine. Yeah, that's really cool though.
And that's what you pay for. I mean, you're paying for that last 10% that makes it the nth better product. And we're not alone there. I mean, our chief competitors, we're all in the same area. Everyone knows the Snap-on brands and the big, those. We're all at that level because we all spend that money and make sure it's that good. So we're all there, all fighting for that same group of customers.
Yeah,
who want that quality.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it's that extra bit of insurance because it's like, you know, when you get lunatics like me that'll be like, you know, use whatever you can reach as a hammer.
Yep, I know the one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've been accused of worse.
This looks like a good hammer. I'll give that a good hit. Hey, trust me, you're not Robinson Crusoe.
No.
I regularly pick up something to use it as a hammer when it looks nothing like a hammer. Back of a cordless is probably the worst.
Yeah. I can't say I've ever used anything that's got a battery in it, but there's definitely been things that haven't been even shaped like a hammer. So there's been a few. But the you're talking about the downflow and the effects now from, you know, work done in other industries. When we first had a chat and we were talking about the whole where the cordless stuff came from, which makes a lot of sense once you think about it. But when you first said it was like all with the NASA stuff because they, you know, can't have cords everywhere, you're like, what? How does that work? But when you actually think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you go back and read the history; it's all written down. It's not a mystery. But yeah, they were the guys that developed the cordless drill or the cordless, you know, screwdriver or the cord because. Reality is they were going somewhere where they needed to be able to fix things on the run, and they needed the type of equipment. So, you know, what we take for granted today was, you know, cutting edge, absolute brilliance back in the 60s, really, when we started sending men to the moon. So that's the sort of time period. Yeah, and then it's just developed and developed from there. So yeah, absolutely.
It's just cool that's that on-flow. And again, like you said, is we take it completely for granted, but it's like the origins of it is. I found that really cool.
Yeah.
But the products and stuff, obviously, so it starts with air in Australia for ages. Then you're bringing in all the hand tools. But what you guys have got now is just like a plethora of different bits for just about every kind of application that there is.
Yeah, we've I guess at the end of the day we're an automotive company. I always say that's who we are. We make tools for mechanics or. Probably shouldn't say because the mechanics come from every shape, be it marine, be it diesel, be it, you know, I have a bit of a saying at work where I go, we make tools for things that move in some fashion or form.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether they've got tracks or wings or wheels or doesn't matter what it is. It's got moving bits. That's what we try and look after. So I guess primarily we've automotive and we've always, you know, concentrated on that. We haven't tried to be a company that supplies builders tools.
Yeah.
You know, I can swing a hammer, so you know, does that make me a builder? Probably.
Yeah. Well,
depending on who you're talking to, I suppose.
This is true.
I know some mechanics who I own a shifter, so I should be called a mechanic. So,
right.
So we've all got that industry.
Yeah.
But in essence, we've tried to concentrate on one thing, and we've always tried to stick with, you know, is this suitable for our industry? You know, is that what we're doing? So when you start going into that, then you're looking at everything, aren't you? I mean, obviously your 10 mil spanner and your 10 mil socket, you pull them out every day.
Yeah.
Every day. But
when I can find it.
That is a problem. That's why you should own a dozen of them. And you lose half a dozen, and I keep selling you another half dozen next year.
That's about right.
That's the solution to good business.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously hand tools has become air tools, and air tools has become now cordless tools, and not one, in my mind, is better than the other. They all play their own part.
Yeah.
And you can see as time evolves, we see that all the time, that one particular product in a certain category will do well and it'll kill off another one in another category. But then others in air category will continue to do well because the other one doesn't do it well. So, and hand tools continue to flourish no matter what because there's always some engineer in some automotive design suite that comes up with some harebrained idea on how they want to attach something and to make it, you know, 3 cents cheaper to make that part.
Yeah.
And then we as the mechanical industry have to work out how to pull it apart. So, you know, let's design a new spanner with 3 S pens in it instead of 2. So that's pretty much how the industry works these days.
Is that something that you guys on that sort of ground level take any kind of feedback or ideas or industry kind of suggestions for stuff? Or
actually, probably a step ahead of that. Like we regularly communicate with a lot of the big car brands.
Yeah.
In fact, it's funny today. I got Toyota contacted me today to come and look at some other product for them, and I haven't spoken to Toyota in probably 5 years. It's just it's random when it happens. Like you never know who's going to ring up out of the blue.
Yeah.
But over time, we've spent a lot of time because most of these big manufacturers they know what they're doing. You know, 8-10 years out in front already.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago we developed a whole new range of toolkits based on all the new fasteners that were going to be in every single car brand sold here in Australia.
Okay.
We went to each manufacturer and got the list of the future nuts, bolts, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Sat down and go, well, there's all the bits that that go into a toolkit.
Yeah.
Or we need and they need to do their work. Let's develop it around that so that it gives them the perfect solution for their new trainees. But then on top of that, you get all sorts of weird and wonderful. And we've just been through this in only probably the last few months where we met Tesla in their design offices based mainly in Europe.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because all the big electrical and engineering groups are based in Germany. So Tesla's put one of their main facilities in Germany.
Yeah.
And off the back of trying to find some weird little tool to undo a hose clamp,
Right.
a spring type hose clamp, we got asked for a solution, which we provided them one and said, there you go, that's it. And off the back of that, we've now been invited in to help them with a number of other solutions for servicing. I think they had it. They think they probably had it all mastered when they launched, but as they've moved forward, they themselves have now realised that, we build a great car, but if I want to get to that part, I don't want to have to go through these 6 other parts. So now how can we do that without having to do this?
Yes.
And that's when they start talking to people like ourselves, and we get involved at a level where we start to talk about different things they could use or try, and you keep moving forward. So I actually introduced them the other day to a new product we're about to launch here called a wireless wheel aligner, which they wanted a new way of doing it. So we're going to do it completely using electronic distance measuring. So there's no clamps, nothing touches the car. It's all done electronically.
Right.
And it can tell you everything about what goes on with the wheel, caster, camber, toe in, toe out, every single part. And you never actually have a thing touches the car until you get under and start playing with the...
To actually do the adjustment,
to make the adjustments.
God, that sounds like a wheel alignment even I could do.
Yeah.
That's great.
Pretty good one. I can work it out first go.
I'm of the old school. I'm like stand back with one eye closed. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll jump in and see which way the steering wheel's facing. Oh, mum's driveway workshop days.
As long as it's not leaking afterwards, it all must have worked.
I think if you've got leaks from a wheel alignment, you've done the wrong fucking thing. I think you've got problems.
Yeah, well, that steering rack's got a few things in it that can all go wrong.
Well, yeah, there's that. There's that. What's so that's? I mean, Jesus, that's a very. I mean, it's a very cool path so far. What's have you got lined up for the future? I mean, because I know you got a whole lot of new tools coming out too.
Yeah, there's always I guess in our industry, you're always looking for that competitive edge.
Yeah.
Everyone is. And it doesn't matter what industry.
Yeah.
Whether it's yours or mine or, everyone's looking for the reason to get the customer to come and talk to you as opposed to somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're forever looking for that. But funny enough, a lot of that competitive edge comes from the industry.
All that feedback.
Feedback comes in, we talk, everyone listens.
Yeah.
And then you think about what can we do. So I quite often say to our guys, we're in the business of building problem-solving tools as opposed to mechanical tools or whatever. If we can make a job quicker or more easy or less stressful, or here's the best one, if I can charge out an hour and it only takes 10 minutes, then and everyone's happy, then I'm even, as a mechanic, I'm even happier, aren't I?
Absolutely.
Like everyone likes to be able to charge out all 8 hours in the day, and we know how hard that is in any workshop. So, so those type of things are what we're always trying to produce, time-saving things, make people more productive. At the end of the day, productivity is what we all pay for or what we all want to achieve. So productivity is number one at driving the research and development. And sometimes that's as simple as, I bought a little sample there, I can show you. But even something like that is, this is a new socket that was developed. I'll just have to move out of the road.
No, you're right.
So I just bought in a couple of bolts. There's 2 sockets. One's a 12-point and one's our new one. And there's 2 nuts there. One's a standard bolt you'd put in. Now, the second one, our new one, you'd never have seen a socket that even looks like that. It's such a unique design.
It's like a mini version of a lock nut for your wheels.
Yeah, it is. But there's 2 bolts there. One's basically been ground down to virtually a circle.
Yep.
There's just the tiniest little bit of flat left on it. Well, that is the worst case scenario. You've stripped a bolt. They don't get much more stripped than that. So I've got a standard one, which obviously I've got 2 there.
Yep.
They both work in the socket. Then you put the second one in, and I'll let you tell the story from there.
I nearly said I knew a girl like this once. Fuck me. One beer.
We've all known a girl like that, don't worry.
Fuck, that didn't take long.
You haven't lived if you haven't been there.
Oh, God. I can't believe that grabs that. That thing is like fucking round. And that's proper grabbing it.
Yeah, proper grabbing it. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? It's a complete different concept of design. So we stopped looking at how a conventional socket worked and said, why don't we go the other way rather than trying to grab a bolt by the points or off the side of the points, which is what conventional.
Yeah.
Let's try and grab it right in the middle of the flat, right in the centre of it. Like not just that was our goal, and so that's where the design then led to, and that's what's well, there you go. There's a metric set on a lovely little blue rail that will come out. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah. That blows my mind. Can you see that? It's like round. Wow, that's really cool. That is really cool. And are these are about to be launched, or are they?
Yeah, they'll come out early next year or later this year. It's a brand new product that'll come to market. So it's a real game changer in, you know, and this is what I was talking about, productivity. You've got something that comes in and you look at it and you go, oh shit, how long is this going to take to get out?
Yeah.
We've all had that feeling.
Yeah.
And oh God, here we go. And you know straight away you get that sick in your guts feeling of how this is going to take way too longer than it should. That's what this is all about, trying to come up with solutions to make those things, you know, not be the painful thing that they are.
Well, that's the two of the biggest holdups for me on a booking is when we're taking off a bull bar or whatever we're doing is rust or turned heads. That's because my drama is like I look at stuff and because it's, you know, I mean, God, I keep saying this, what are we, 43 this year? So we've been playing with cars since before I got my learners. So it's, I don't know, 30-ish years, you know. So someone comes in and you look at it and you go, oh yeah, ball bar, it's okay, like 4 bolts outside, 4 bolts outside, whatever it is, you know, everything looks okay. 20 minutes ago, I'll have that thing off. One, you know, bolt in not using that kind of stuff, one bolt can throw you for an hour. Yeah. You know, so and it completely throws my timeline for my day. That's nuts. I love that. That's really cool.
It's always the way. And funny, only earlier today my young bloke races in the XL series these days.
Yes.
And on the weekend we were at QR doing the XL Enduro.
Yeah.
Not in our car. He was the B driver in another car. So normally, you know, depending on what year, whether you go with another driver or use yours. Yeah. He gets in his mate's car, first lap out, trying it, bang, buggers up, goes second, did a second to third, goes second into first accidentally, clutch.
Yep.
Clutch goes boom. Seen better days.
Yep.
Drag it back in, pull it all down, drop the engine down. So we had the whole engine out, or not engine out, but engine drop down, gearbox off, clutch out, clutch in, gearbox back on, lift it up. I think, you know, we probably did all that in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Powering along, go. We get to the last 2 bolts, which is to line up the engine mount bolts.
Yeah.
And in the race cars, they put solid mounts in them, so they're not flexible. Yeah. It took us half an hour to line up 2 fucking bolts. I probably shouldn't swear, should I? But as the first thing to come, oh, bloody hell. Yeah. You couldn't believe it. So you're exactly right. And we were under time pressure to try and get out for the last session of the day, which we didn't make. We couldn't get the bolts in quick enough, so we didn't get there. And I'm a great believer, finish it right, don't half-ass, just So, but I know exactly what you mean. It's that one bolt that always causes all the grief.
Oh yeah. It's I think some of the most colourful. I mean, colourful language comes out of me anyway, but it's like it's in moments like that because especially when I used to have in one of my old shops, I used to have the waiting room. The showroom, waiting room, whatever, I had a window. And when I left that shop, I went, I'm never fucking putting a window. Because when you got a customer sitting in there and you're out there losing your shit, like, it's like, you're not doing, like, I'm not, you know, taking a hammer to a car, but it's like you pulling your hair out because something's fighting you. And it's like, this should have been back together 2 hours ago, but this idiotic bit of, you know, thing, whatever it is, it's like, no. Yeah, it's no more windows in the showroom.
It's like the aftermarket part you buy that should fit straight on, but 6 out of 7 of the holes don't line up.
Oh yeah. I find that a lot with the bonnets. When I started doing the 79 bonnets, we looked at some replacement panels, like the aftermarket panel stuff, and they're just, I don't know what they're stamped with or where they got the design from, but they're just not the same. You know, it's just I don't know if you would call it knockoff. I mean, it's not Toyota genuine, but it's, you know, it's like 90% there, or even 98% there.
I love these people though. They're the people that cause, you know, that get me more business in some roundabout fashion.
Oh yeah,
Because they're the way. That's where the 10mm sockets get thrown out the door in frustration. And
yeah. I don't know what it is with 10 mils. Have you ever actually? Has there anybody ever done any studies to that? Is it just because it gets used the most?
it gets used the most. And you know, how often? And funny enough, this is one of the reasons you come back right back to 06 when it started. One of the things I asked mechanics about how they like tools. We were talking about putting things back, and we were the very first company in Australia to come up with what is now the EVA foam insert. You know, all the sockets, all with a home, all with a number under them. So at the end of the day, you go click, 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 put them all back in. So everything had a home. That came from the idea of exactly what you said. You use something a lot, where's that? Where did I last use that today? And 10mm notoriously bad, but it's the one you only use occasionally. You go, where did I use that? 16mm, because that's a weird size. It must have been something. And then sure enough, you remember where you used it. You go back there, and there it is, still sitting on the bloody fastener. As long as it hasn't driven out for the day.
True.
Because then, it's gone. Never to be seen again. Albeit, I've heard plenty of stories where they've driven out with our torches and left, gone flat on the side of the car or, in the engine bay. And a year later they come back and there it is still attached to the engine bay. Like that happens regularly. That's not a once in a blue moon. That's a story I hear almost, not weekly, but pretty regularly. And I go, man, I don't know how good the light is, but the magnet's bloody good.
When I get stuff in here and we start pulling things apart, it's like the amount of spanners or I mean, there's everyday daily stuff, but the amount of tools that we pull out of inside a guard, or like someone's been in there doing up like the worst one must be like snorkel mounts, like the plastic, vulcanized bolt with, and you get in there and you'll drop it and it's like, you have to take that fucking guard off now. And you just know they've just gone, fuck it, it's too hard. It was only a cheap set, that's going with it, cool. That shouldn't rust, should it?
Cost that into the job.
God, you're pulling, like when we'll pop a guard or whatever, and you'll get like a socket and a guard and a spanner or something will fall out. It never tends.
We always used to have a saying. I grew up in the farming world. My old man was a farmer. And I don't know if you know the old fencing pliers, Australian fencing pliers.
To spin the wire.
Pull wire, spin it, whatever you're doing it.
Yeah.
Every post back in those days, your hand cut post from timber, and every other tree always had a hollow in the guts of it.
Yep.
We used to reckon that every hollow post in every farm in Australia had one set of fencing pliers in the middle of it. if you had enough time to go and pull them out, they were all there, because that's where you put them up on the post.
Knock it in.
Down the middle it goes.
Yeah, my man grew up on a dairy farm down in Lismore, so he had a whole heap of stories about all that sort of maintenance gear and losing bits, and telling his old man to be something. Where's this gone? Where's that? You had it. I don't know. It's like dodgy shit. Now I know where I get it from. How you going over there? You finished that one?
Yeah, about halfway.
About halfway.
Too much talking, you see.
I'm a fucking pisshead. Oh, what is that? Oh, a bit of the label. Oh, that is not a bad drop at all. We need Wildside beer. Although I'll take more of this off your hands whenever you're coming around again, because that's not a bad drop.
No problem at all.
What else have we got going on? Oh, here. Okay, here we go. Right. So you brought up the racing. This one here has on. It's got to be at least 50% of the episodes has brought up the go-karts, because he's been after me to build him a go-kart truck. My old man used to race Rotax series and all that.
Yep.
And we've gone out a few times, and I think I never drove his Rotax. I think maybe I had to go to his Clubman or something like that back in the day. But he's been after me to do like a Wildside go-kart team for forever and pit crew for him. Like, no, I suggested pit crewing because
I'm pay for it, I'll drive it.
That's the pitch. And I said to him,
that's every sponsored pitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every sponsored, I'll drive it, you pay for it.
Yeah. And I said, I'll pit crew. I'll drink beer and pit crew for you. But like, at least, the stuff these days is a little bit like when Dad was a big boy. Like he had to be 150 kilo. But But when he was driving the Clubman's, it was the old, you had to put the trolley under it to lift the arse, push him and dump it so it could kick over and go. And I was like, I don't know, 15. He's a big boy. But I thought, I'll bring it up because this one has been at me for forever. And I know you guys, which I didn't know, but I now do know you guys, the go-kart series and the motors and all that gear, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's one of the parts of the business we had before even hand tools came along was engines.
Yeah.
We were an air tool company, and logically, this probably sounds logically, I hope it does, we ended up being an air compressor manufacturing company here in Australia. And air compressing manufacturing, look, all honesty, is not that difficult. You know, you buy your pumps from the pump maker, you buy your motors from the motor maker, you buy all your bits, you get a tank, you bolt it all together, bring yourself to the market.
Right.
So that was us in the early or late 90s, early 2000s. We made a lot of air compressors, and probably at one point there was probably in the top 3 or 4 makers in the country. So we built up and 3-phase and single phase and direct drives and then came petrol engine drivens and diesel engine drivens and a whole lot of stuff. Sold a lot of engine driven compressors as obviously amongst that.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, because we were buying quite a few engines, we sort of cottoned onto the fact that to make a generator, you literally just bought an alternator and bolted it to effectively the same engine.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but basically the same. Put that in a frame, sell it out the door, generator. So we ended up being air tools, compressors and generators.
Yeah.
And we got to such a volume of that, both those things, that we ended up spending quite a bit of time working at a factory level. Ended up inheriting, buying, whatever you want to call it, a brand called Torini out of Italy.
Yes.
Went on to do more manufacturing and more work in that industry, which then led us to actually making and about the same time we were just starting to get getting a bit of interest in the go-kart world. Gee, that looks interesting. Wouldn't mind having a go at that.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'd probably hung up the idea of hanging off the back of boats, being pulled at 100 mile an hour on a water ski, and
it hurts when that goes wrong.
Yeah, the number of injuries had started to surpass the threshold of my brain saying maybe you need to give that up.
Yep.
I know, let's go and get in something 1 inch off the ground and go at 120 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
It's half the speed.
Yeah,
Surely it's only half the injuries.
Yeah.
So we ended up, out of interest, we decided not to do the traditional Rotax, whatever, T-stroke, 4-stroke.
Yeah.
We actually decided to get into enduro karting, which is go out and I say it now, I think I sound like a complete idiot. Like, let's not race for 15 minutes. Let's race for 6 hours. That's got to be be easier.
Yeah.
So we started in the enduro series, and off the back of the enduro series, at the time we were using Honda engines when they first started.
Yeah.
And we said to the particular club, we make this particular engine, and your Honda engine's not going to be compatible in a year or two. They couldn't get Honda to agree to what they call homologate the engine in the series.
Right.
So we said, hey, we got an engine, why don't we get this one homologated, which we did, and we went through the process. So we started...
What does that mean?
Homologation means that you've basically got to get it safety tested and checked by sort of an endorsed body, and then the Karting Australia will sign off and allow you then to race that engine on their tracks. And in Australia, that's just about every track. Bar a few.
Yeah.
So it's all about safety. At the end of the day, there's a thing sitting there beside you spinning at, 4,000, 6,000, 10,000, 12,000 plus RPM.
Yeah.
If a flywheel flies a part of that speed, things don't end well.
No, I get that.
So it has to be safe. It has to have all the, basically it has to be ticked off by the manufacturer that it can do this. And of course we were by default the manufacturer. We tested it. We were happy it would do the job.
Yeah.
And as we were moving along, sort of working on generators on one hand and sort of this go-kart thing slightly over here, we were about to design a new cylinder head for a small engine to give us a genuine 7 horsepower. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but at the time for the generator, that would have meant we could make a generator that created 3.5 to 4 kVA, which in the building industry was perfect because all your drop saws and all your, small, that's what they wanted. And it was a generator that was less than 40 kilos. One bloke could pick it up, carry it around.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was proper portable, not holy crap, it's 100 kilos.
Yeah.
I need 3 blokes to pick it up and move it somewhere.
Yeah.
So we decided to design a cylinder head. So while that was going on, we're designing a new cylinder head. We thought, oh, hang on, we could use the same in the racing. So we actually designed a cylinder head that went away from the conventional small engine valve train, which was just a sort of a rocker on a stud, to a rocker on a fixed arm. So it became like a, you know, the Jezzel type stuff, or the shaft mounted rockers, like a shaft mounted rocker as opposed, which is quite common in cars today, shaft mounted rockers.
Right.
And they give you valve train stability. It means you can rev the hell out of them and the valve train stays pretty much in line.
Right.
And particularly on an engine with what they call a canted valve train, meaning that you've moved the valves away from angles, they're not parallel anymore.
Right.
So we decided to design that, bolted that on, reconfigure the engine to race it. And first test run, we're doing 8,800 RPM in an engine that was designed to do 4,000 RPM.
Wow.
And we're going, how cool is this?
Yeah.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
And then we went, oh, hang on, the flywheel's not designed, you know, with safety factors. We need to cut it back to about 7 and limit it at that. So
Right.
I think we worked out we could get it to 7,500 safely, but
Yeah.
even then it was not safe, you know, as in the engine wouldn't last long enough. So
Yeah.
we pulled it back to a safety factor to make the engine last. And then we then went about the process of homologating the engine, and off the back of that, it went enduro racing, had its trials and tribulations, had to do some upkeep and get things right. Even we didn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
I got it to a point where it would do, you know, a lot of hours of racing, and then decided that we should maybe push it into as a new class into the world of two-stroke racing as four-stroke, because it was a low maintenance, low cost, good entry class.
Yeah.
And today it is. It's in karting, the whole of karting Australia-wide, it's the fastest growing class in juniors and seniors across the whole country, and continues to be. Yeah, there's something like about 400 or 500 people racing around the country on any given weekend.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
so it's gone really well. I think we've made over 5,000 engines by now. So we've produced, and all locally produced here.
Yeah.
Granted, we import parts from China and Taiwan and everywhere and bring them in, and you know, you can't get valves made here in Australia. You can't get, but whatever we can make, all of our billet parts, all of our other, it's all made locally.
Yeah. Right.
It's all assembled, tested, dynoed. Everything's done here locally and then sold off to the market, and not overly expensive. I think a starter class engine's $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, and you know, in the world of kart racing, that's about a third of what a you know.
Yeah, I remember. I think Dad's road taxes back in the day. Like, I mean, I really can't remember specific dollar figures, but I know his overall cart. I think when he set up his last year I think the cart itself was about 18 grand.
Yeah, and they are like a brand new kart with one of our engines now, maybe 6 or 7 grand, I think, brand new.
Yeah.
But a brand new two-stroke with a two-stroke and there's no change out of 12, 13, 14 grand. And that's the starter class, you know.
Yeah.
As you go forward, there's no change out of a lot more than that. So it's not cheap, but in the great scheme of motor racing, it's not expensive either.
No, and I remember years ago, like there was when you could still buy one, there was the Gemini, the coupe series that they had. I was like, that would have been cool to do. And then obviously that just, you know, even buying a Gemini shell these days, a coupe, I don't even know what you'd pay. You'd probably pay 10 grand for a half decent shell.
Yeah, I reckon more.
More, yeah.
That's why the XL series has done so well around Australia. There was thousands, tens of thousands of those things sold.
Yeah.
With, you know, little twin cam engines, 5-speed box in them. You know, they just you can still buy them for $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah.
You can buy a full runner for $6,000, like with an engine and everything. It's still in it. So you can go in that series still around Australia, and for 20 grand you can build a reasonably competitive race car and go and have fun.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got his heart set on the go-karts, and I kind of like the idea of just being able to stand there and work on it, not get under something. So I'm probably leaning more towards the go-karts as well. Pick it up and turn it over, yeah, pretty much. But
it's a great sport, and it really is. I'm first one to put my hand up. I've spent probably the last 10 or 15 years being at a track not every second weekend, but at least once or twice a month. It seems like it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, myself racing, and then my young fella racing, and someone else. And these days, I was only at a racetrack went 2 weekends ago at Bundaberg for the one of the rounds of a championship that's run here, and went to Lismore only over about 6 weeks ago for the same one. So I still regularly turn up to see what's, as a supplier, and you just want to see what's going on and make sure everyone's happy and everything's heading in the right direction. So and we're still the naming rights sponsor as a company for the Karting Australia Championship, or the Australian Kart Championship, which is the main championship in Australia, which then leads them off to, you know, the guys that win that get tickets to go off and race around the world, and in whether it's F4 in England or whatever opportunity. All of our main, you know, it wasn't that many years I can remember standing at Melbourne watching Oscar Piastri win the championship, and now he's, you know, the go hard Australian gun in F1, isn't he? Daniel Ricciardo was probably a bit before I was standing on the, you know, he's obviously racing the same series. And there's Mick Doohan's young fellow, Jack Doohan is coming through.
Did Mark Webber go through go-karts?
He did. He came out of Canberra. So he was in the Canberra club for many years. In fact, they renamed it after him. I think it's now called the Mark Webber Circuit. So
there you go.
So, yeah, all those different, you know, all of them have come through that at some point in time. And it's funny now, at the age I am, I'm going, oh, I remember you. I remember you being a 10-year-old, and you being of that age, and watching them all come through bit by bit, and then go off to be, you know, being one of the best in the world. Wow. And we've got a whole train of them, and, you know, it amazes me how many kids are over in Europe, all in different championships, all lined up, you know, behind Ricardo's just left, Oscar's still there. I think Jack's got a good chance of coming in next year. And then in the F2, F3, F4, all the way down, there's Aussie kids in there everywhere, all having a go. So
that's great.
Yeah, we bat pretty well for what you call a small country in a particular sport.
Yeah. What are those karts that you keep talking about? They've got a body on them.
Oh, supercars.
Supercarts, yeah. Are you involved in any of that, or?
No, we're not. Supercarts tend to run. Well, they're a Rotax or what they call a KZ engine. Okay. So they're a 6-speed box in them, and
you should out of luck.
Those guys are just
nuts.
You know, they are nuts.
They're nuts. Was that the Mount Panorama? They're like similar times to the V8s.
Oh,
with nothing around.
I thought they were faster.
I think they're faster through cornering and braking, but the V8s accelerate harder.
I think 200 is about their top speed. I think. Don't quote me because I don't. I don't. But they are. You're right. They go around a corner quicker than anything.
Yeah, I thought they were faster around Bathurst than the V8s. There probably wouldn't be much in it.
I think it's they don't have anything close to the top speed, but the acceleration and their ability to pull up and how much they stick through corners, because there's a lot less weight for inertia to cause you dramas through a corner. I think they have them in that point, but the top speed, the V8s will get them. But we don't fact check anything on this show, so fuck who knows. Sounds good. It's a good story.
This is a fact. KZ kart. So KZ's the top of the Australian Kart Championship, which is the 6-speed gearbox kart. KZ is most karting is all done as a rolling start. And the KZ's the only kart that's done as a what do you call it, a standing start. The G's on the standing start from a KZ is more than the G's at an F1 car.
Holy shit.
That's how much they pull off the line with the grip they've got and the power they got.
Wow.
They are insanely fast.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's also why every supercar driver, every NASCAR driver now, every F1, that's what they train in.
Yeah, right.
They train in a KZ go-kart because they're so quick and so fast, and, you know, reaction times has got to be as good. Obviously, in F1 is even a whole bigger ball game again, but crazy quick and that's why these kids come out of KZ karts and hop into an F4 and go, oh, this is pretty easy.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a step back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they start their journey back through the
because that's getting into the full size stuff. Yeah,
exactly right.
And speaking of, but then you've got the progression instead of down that track into like the V8s, because you guys are really heavy into the V8s too.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like, for all the kids that go to Europe, there's only the handful that ever succeed, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you get
at a level that's
absolutely. Well, let's face it, there's only 24 seats in the F1 field, and you have the whole world vying for 24 seats. Well, it's always going to be the ones that don't make it, as you know. Yeah. So you come back, you know, there's a lot of go off to that, or can't afford to, because the money involved in getting is just insane. Like, it blows me away how much money. And, you know, I thought it was a lot of money 20 years ago. Today it's even more crazy. Yeah. But you get a lot of kids here who are super talented, don't have the money, and they start in all the other series. They'll start in the XLs or the Toyota 86s, and they worked their way up into Porsche, the GT, you know, or what do you got, the Challenge, Sprint Challenge.
Yeah, Gleno's boy
Carrera.
was racing the Porsche out at Glenn Haddon's boy. He was in the, we had up on the screen that was the Porsche series out there, yeah.
Yep, so you Challenge, Sprint Challenge, the Carrera Cup series, then you've got the GT3s here in Australia, and then obviously when you get to supercars, and it's the progression all heads there, there's Super 3, Super 2 and supercars.
Yeah.
But again, you've got the same issue, 24 seats, everyone vying for the same spot. So we end up having a few pinnacle series. We've got supercars, Carrera Cup, you know, they're probably your 2 in Australia, and then the GT series, which is all your Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
It's a pinnacle series, but bit more gentlemanly, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, okay.
Probably not quite as frantic, not as full as many young fellas all trying to break their neck to get in there. So
No, that what's the one that I like? That's the Utes, but they're like 4 drives.
the Super Utes.
And they
the
jump
big
shit.
beast ones.
They jump shit around the track.
Yeah.
There's is it a stadium truck?
Stadium trucks.
Yeah,
that's
that's a bit of me.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
they're a bit crazy though.
yeah, fuck yeah. Give me a go at that. That'll be
That must
fun.
be, and then that's something when you're watching them live.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do it at the Gold Coast here.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
They still do, but
Yeah.
they come down there and jump and. But they, you know, I think insurance has become a bigger issue. Bits falling off and.
True.
You know, so but I agree, they're great to watch.
Yeah.
So absolutely awesome series when they. It's just occasionally when it all goes wrong, it goes wrong so bad.
Well, yeah.
But that's why we go, isn't it?
Well,
So you go
I
to watch
just-
motor racing to watch it all go wrong?
My drama with that sort of stuff when it's something that I really like, I love Bathurst, I love the stadium trucks, all that sort of stuff. But my drama is I get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is boring. Give me the keys. Like I just want to drive one. I'm like, I'm not under any delusions that I'm going to do anything spectacular at all. I just want to drive one. I just think that would be like a shit ton of fun.
And they are a great experience. I've personally had the privilege of driving a
Have
couple
you?
of them now, yeah. So
Did you jump
and,
anything?
No, not a stadium truck, a supercar, like a
right,
V8 supercar. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. But they got a lot more power than you realise.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to become unstuck very, very quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh look, I had a bit of fun on the bloody SS Commodores they have out at
QR?
V8 supercar experience
Yeah.
or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Which is the old clapped out SS with a cut off pipe and all that, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
It's still like getting strapped. And I remember when I got strapped into it, the guys like really leant on me to pull the harness down. I'm like, dude, I can't breathe. And the guy sitting next to me is like, just relax, it'll be fine. And I'm like, no, that's a lot of pressure because I've never been strapped in anything that hard. Like even when I was racing go-karts, like you're just sitting in the seat, like there's nothing holding you. But once we started, just that acceleration and how much it pushed you back into the seat was like it took all the pressure off. And I was like, oh right. And then when you brake, it's like you really want that there because you're fucking braking real hard. And it was like, okay, I get it. I'll shut up. But no, that was a lot of fun. So I can imagine a real one's like
Yeah.
a
And
buzz.
it's awesome fun. I've done exactly the same.
Yeah.
And in fact, the day we did it, we actually went and raced a few different things and tried.
Yeah.
And I got so inspired, we went and built 2 replica ones for our work, and all great means. Built the whole things, raced them about, I probably put a couple of hours on both of them, I think, and then went, yeah, I think we should sell them now.
So you just just upgrade the showroom and stick it in there. Yeah, no, they're a lot of fun. I'd love to do something like that, but it's also the time. Like even when we talk about it, like when we actually talk about it, and I get into some of the logistics of it, I'm like, God, you know how much time that's going to take? Like whether it's travel or the weekends away, or I mean maintenance on it. It's not that big a deal for the most part, but it's like that's such a big commitment.
It is, it doesn't matter what you do in go-karts. Even if you just race the local Ipswich club up here, you basically, if you want to run the championship, you're running 8 rounds, so it's 8 weekends a year that you need to go to the racing.
Yeah,
and realistically, you probably need to do at least 4 practice rounds if you want to be any chance of. So there's 4 days you want to spend out there, and the race day is not just the race day; it's the get there the day before, set up and do the thing. So yeah, it is. It's a big commitment, but I guess any sport is. I guess the beauty I love always stuff about motor racing, it's spread over the whole year. So it's sort of like once a month you go and you do your thing. Yeah. Whereas I've got kids who've played every bloody sport. You know, the worst ones, the rowing and the swimming, because you've got to be at 4 a.m. down at the
thank
the
God.
pool.
No, none of ours do anything like that early.
But even just playing footy. Yeah. My better half is like one of the sort of, I don't know, one of the coordinators and organisers of AFL at our little local club. Yeah. And it's about a 12 to 15 week commit every single weekend. Yeah. So yes, it's the same number of events. It's just all jammed into so it's a weekend every single weekend. Because I think of motor racing, I've always liked the fact that you start in February and then you have another one in March and then you have so you got all the gaps in between. But you have to, based on my experience so far with my son. You need about that much time to repair all the damage between them.
I probably see that happening as well.
I will say though, the one upside, the thing you don't realise until they get to the age, obviously he's driving his own car now, is how much of a better driver they become and how much safer they are. Yeah. It absolutely shocks me, that his knowledge on the road, and he's already got it out of his head that you don't go on the road to race and do stupid shit. I can do as much of that on the racetrack as I want. So that urge to do it is just gone. And he sounds like an old man at 20 years old. And I go, as a parent, that's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, even like down to your, spatial awareness and all the stuff, watch and learn, and like that would be one of the biggest things for kids would be learning to watch for other people, because it's like you might be doing the right thing. That doesn't mean everybody else is. And that track stuff, it would be really enforcing.
Well, it's funny, when he was on his learners, he was in his mother's car and he's driving across the Jindalee Bridge, and in front of him an accident happens. So one car's moved across, sideswiped another car. Next thing, there's 2 cars spinning up the bridge, and he's in the middle of it. Yeah. And he somehow managed to thread the car up onto the side and park beside, and there's 4 wrecks sitting there, and he's not got a scratch on him. Wow. His mother's screaming. They get the world's come to an end.
Right, as they do.
It's all over.
Yeah.
And, there's the water. And he just casually puts it in reverse, backs out, and then threads his way around and drives off. And she rings me later and goes, I don't know how he missed everything. I said, well, I can. Yeah. $30,000 worth of destroyed go-karts later. He had to learn something along the way. Yeah. I said, if nothing else, he learned that along the way.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you're right. That's all spatial awareness. Seeing an accident happen, knowing where to put yourself, how to stay out of trouble's way, not panic, just complete cool head at the right time.
It's funny how there's like some of that is just thinking back on it. You go like I've been in cars with people where you go through a puddle or whatever, and it's like it'll go up over the windscreen, and the amount of people that for whatever reason start to turn, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's like, the road didn't move. You just fucking stay straight, and it's like they have this instant thing of like, maybe it's like, oh, I need to pull over type reaction or whatever. But they all like the amount of them that have started turning, and I freak out because you're like, the road was still there. You can't see, but okay, slow down, don't accelerate through it, whatever, but keep going. But I think that's, there's a lot, but having said that, the training, that they're doing now is probably, it's not probably, it's a lot more intense than what it would have been like for any of our era.
Oh, absolutely. I don't bet you, but one was walk up to the local cop shop. We did a lappy of the main street, went back and wrote the licence out.
Yeah, now this was a little bit more involved than that, but I
literally mean that because I grew up in a small country town, and he knew we all knew how to drive. We knew how to drive. Yeah, we'd all lived on the farm.
On the farms and
I'd already been pulled up driving the tractor from one farm to the other. So it was like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be out here. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah. No, Dad had all those stories as well, going up to the cop shop and all that, and I think mine was only. I think I only did like maybe 2 lessons or something like that before. I did one lesson with the driver, and then the second lesson was the drive to go for my license. Yeah. So it was even back then. But then I only got my autos first because I only had an auto car, and I got jack of that in about 3 months and bought a old XF or XE Falcon manual. And, you know, not that I'm promoting that anybody does this, but I was like, you know, Mum wouldn't cut because Mum's, you know, didn't drive much. And so I had nobody to really teach me. So I just started doing laps around the block in it on my autos. And then I got to a point where I was like, all right, yeah, I got this. Booked the test, drove it out to the test on my auto license, did the test in it, and then drove home with the manual license. So I was like, yeah, a lot different now though.
Yeah.
They got like however many 100 hours.
100 hours of, no, I've just been through it twice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it is. And it's amazing saying that we've got, I mean, I'm a Brady Budge family where we got 2 joined up at a later part in life.
Yep.
So I got 2 20-year-olds
Okay.
now. But obviously when they were, 2 18-year-olds. But when they were 16, 17 coming through, getting their learners, the one who was go-karting, I got in from day one, was like, oh, this feels just like driving down the road with you.
Yeah.
The other one who had nothing to do with it,
Yeah.
I had a terrible case of white knuckle fever for about 3 months. I was like, God, I can't believe this is happening. And, you know, but it's just, and that's what gets you, that's exactly right. So, yes, go-karting, great, no matter what age. I mean, I know one guy out of Ipswich is 65, 66, still roaring around there, doing laps, having a great time.
Yeah.
But boy, it gets hard on the body.
Can you fund till
but-
66?
I think, hey,
Can you fund till 66?
fuck you know, I'm having trouble doing your first season, buddy. How about we overcome that hurdle first? So my old man, he was 30 years older than me, so he's gone. We lost him last year, not last year, the year before. So he'd be 74 this year, 31 years older than me, and we're 43. Yeah. And I think a few of his old boys that he used to go out there with, I think still go out to Ipswich, and they're all still involved in it and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, there's quite a few of them. Like that, quite a few of them come socially, but there's still one or two who even compete in Masters.
Yeah.
You know, and I had the privilege last year of going to the Australian Masters titles.
Okay.
You know, got an invite, went along, and we did all right. I mean, we were down there. Our class got asked as the 4-stroke class to come along. And, we actually ended up second for the thing, so I was pretty happy with myself considering all.
Yeah.
But it's a great week. I mean, it was just a great weekend because you have to be 40 plus to race.
Right.
Probably the average age was mid-50s.
Yeah.
You know, and I think drinking beer at night was way more important than karting.
That's my kind of race
That's
weekend.
what I noticed at the Masters titles. It seemed to be the grossing input of beer.
Yeah.
But it was just a fun weekend, and it's good to see. You know, there would have been 200 odd fellas and ladies there, all older, all having a great time in a sport that they've probably done for 20, 30 years already at that point in time. So
Yeah, that's cool. That'd be a good one to go down to. Check that out.
Yeah, that was in Coffs Harbour. It's actually held in Coffs Harbour every year.
Yeah.
Great spot and a lot of fun. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Albeit that, you know, we've been involved in it now for a long time and probably will be for a bit longer yet. But certainly something as our business, it continues to be part of what we do all day, every day. So
Well, maybe you got to rub up here and see if you can get a spot driving one. See if you got any skill.
we've always got a card or two that you can come and borrow and try out.
There you go.
There's never a lack of those floating around, I can tell you.
Actually, we did notice that, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, he's 70 kilos
I don't
soaking wet.
know
So.
about. There's a brand new one sitting up on the shelf there at work. I don't know if that one will be allowed out.
Oh yeah.
I got bought just recently in some stupid moment of my business partner and I saying, maybe we should have a skid in and, you know, we'll get a new one and just share it. I don't know how that works because I'm 15 kilos heavier than he is and he's got a smaller ass, so we could have to change the seat every time we get in the thing. But
Yes.
because one thing I will tell you, the seat doesn't fit. It's rather uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The bruises on your back.
Yeah, I remember Dad's was like that because God, at 16, the last time I did the Ipswich track, it was still the full track.
Yep.
Like it wasn't like, you know, they halve it for the high carts.
Yep.
Like, yeah, well, we were last time I did it, it was full track, and I don't think he wasn't expecting me to go out and go as hard as I did because he had his road tax, but then him and the boys had one that was Clubman, but it was called the Mongrel because it was just bits of everything thrown together to create one cart. And I went out and had a bit of a play in that, and I don't know whether he'd leaned it down or done something, but I got about 8-10 laps into it and blew a hole through the piston, just shot its ass off. So.
Yeah.
But that was the fuck was I going with that? Oh yeah, the seat, but it had a seat that he could fit. But at 16,
You'd have been in there like a,
he
Like-
had
like
this
that-
whopping
like
great
that
lump
socket.
of brown foam that you sat into that kind of squished you. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was a bit of room in his seat. He had a bit of padding for me to get in there. Oh dear, yeah,
I
no,
tell
that'd
you,
be cool.
they've come a long way because, my young fella's got a Vortex, can't remember the particular engine now, but, you're talking 30-odd horsepower now in a 35 horsepower in a normal, and I get in it, and 6 laps, I'm bruised from pillar to post. I just absolutely flogs you. They got that much power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard work on the body.
Yeah, see, that's why I want a pit crew.
Yeah.
I'd be keen if you had a couple there. I'd be keen to go out and race them and have a couple of laps because I got, God, 30, at least 30. What are you, 70 kilo?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm like 115. So 45 kilos. Still reckon I'd catch you.
Good luck.
That sounds like a challenge.
I'll give it a red hot crack. You pull away on the straight, I reckon I'd have you in the corner. I got more weight. I'll stick to the road better. Fucking my theory anyway. As far as you do tools for everything. You're into every kind of sport. You sponsor a lot of stuff too. You've got a lot of really cool industries that you guys support. As far as again, like sponsorships and stuff like that. The moving forward for SP Tools, like what is it where do you guys sort of see it going? Like as far as, is there something in the pipeline that's just totally left to center or?
Oh, nothing that I would say that's crazy different to what we're currently doing. But, I guess every time an opportunity comes up, we're not backward and jumping in. So, and probably recently we've done a lot more in the aeronautical world than we've ever done before. That was a bit of a closed shop for a long time. You had to meet a lot of special standards, which we've now sort of adopted across our program. There's a sort of an American military spec standard, which then drives into all the the aeronautical businesses.
Yeah.
And that comes down to just just the good old Boeing.
I was literally going to say maybe you should go and offer them some advice.
Well, don't leave that socket in the engine. It doesn't end well.
No. Fuck me. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the business. We actually do a lot of that work now with different companies.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a sort of a small contract that we've done with Airbus now for quite a few years, but that continues. But there's more and more of that safety stuff comes into play with, making sure that doesn't happen, that the 10 mil socket doesn't end up left in the engine. It does go back into its hole. And, they're so pedantic now with that. And I shouldn't say pedantic. They're so...
Well, rightly so, but yeah.
Yeah, they're so safety conscious that, the kits that we make up and do stuff with them, everything has a weight to it, like within a gram.
Yeah.
If it's underweight, why is it underweight? If it's overweight, why is it overweight? The
toolkit.
Yeah.
So like it's like you almost like you're at the self-service checkout.
Yep.
You go, I'm finished, and it says, no, hang on, there's something wrong.
You basically have to book it back. Depending on, this is just one of the places I've been. You have to book it back into the cupboard or into the holder, and when it goes in, it goes on the scales. And when it goes on the scales, it weighs it, and it won't check you out of that job until the scales match the. So it's basically saying if everything's not in there, then what have you left? So it won't close the job. So the plane can't leave.
Wow.
So they literally make it so that it can't possibly, you've got to go and find the bit.
When you hear that makes so much sense, but I would never have thought that to do that.
And there's lots of different, and like everything in the aeronautical world, everything is like double and triple redundancy. So that's one measurement of safety.
Yep.
The second part of that same safety is as you take tools out, you have little tags. So you take out a socket and you put your tag beside the socket. So if someone else comes along to that toolkit and takes a part, they have to put their tag in. So they shouldn't probably even be using that toolkit, but if for some reason, they'll put a tag in it so you can go back at the end and pull the tags out and go, Oh, hello.
Yeah, where's this? Where's that?
Why's Billy got my 10 mil socket?
Yeah.
So you can go off and find where it is to put it back in there. So that's sort of the.
Is that all that sort of stuff? Is that all relatively recent, or? Because I got about like 50 or 60 air crash investigation things in my head that's saying that's not
levels of it have always been there.
Yeah, okay.
And some of it was military, came up from it. So we've done a bit of work recently with Northrop Grumman, which you have to sign your life away for secrecy for what you're doing. But even watching their methods and the way they put together, and this is not, I'm not going to come and find me, but this is just purely for safety. So that when the job's finished, we know that everything's accounted for and put in. And the overweight's important. Why is there 2 bolts in the box that shouldn't be in the box?
Yeah,
they should be attached to something over there, and that's you've pulled apart. So it works both ways, both positive and negative. So there's lots and lots of stuff. So I guess we're doing more in that world where there's the ability to expand our program and supply more to that industry. And then that goes to the marine industry. There's always new stuff coming up there, and there's every industry always has heading in its own direction. So, we've just done a big project with Yamaha in the USA, as in Yamaha Marine.
Yeah.
I was just said to you today, we're working on a project with Toyota now for Toyota Australia for some new stuff. I'm sure that'll have to do with Toyota supercars. I'm just, I'm reading between the lines. That's funny they announced that last week and ring me this week. It's almost like, hello.
Well, I mean, it's a good fit. Yeah. I hope it's not that butt-ass ugly version of the Supra. They should bring back the Mark IV Supra with a V8 in it. That'd be fun. Yeah. That I would get behind. But that new thing is, I don't know what that is. That's my flavour. It's all good, Toyota. I'll take one for free if you want to give me one. But,
No, I'm a great believer in the more involved in the sport, the better.
Yeah.
I'd love to see 6 brands in there if they could get in there. But, the manufacturers have to want to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's been lots, obviously. We had Mercedes who came years ago and didn't want to be there. Got bought in by someone who shouldn't have probably bought them in, and that
into the V8 supercars.
Yeah, and that ended sadly because Mercedes Australia wanted nothing to do with it at the time.
Okay.
So, and we were involved in that at the time. So,
I don't even remember
that. When the call it the car of the future, it's not car of the future now, is it?
No.
It's at the end. It's finished, and we've gone on to the next one.
Yeah.
But when that started, the Mercedes was there, Nissan was there, Ford was there, Holden was there. Is that it? Yeah, that was that was the 4 brands. Yeah.
What year was that?
Oh, you'd be almost 8 years ago now, 9 years back when it changed.
Right.
So,
okay, yeah.
2014?
I think
2013, somewhere around there, I think.
I think the thing for me with the V8s though was that I love the early stuff because it was based on a production vehicle.
Yeah.
That for me was like, the guys watching that back in the day was like, I mean, hey, you can't go to Holden and buy that car, but you could go to Holden and buy a version of that car, and it was like, I think it turned into it's effectively NASCAR now, isn't it? As far as like
and look, I probably don't take sides here because I don't know which. I certainly see the people that love the old form of the sport. It was all the car off the showroom floor, and you bolted your go hard engine in it. And put some stiff suspension in, and away you went.
Yeah.
But safety was appalling.
True.
The death count wasn't friendly for the effort that went in. So I said, so from that point, obviously they had to improve things because we still don't like to see that even at any level. And I guess the only other problem with those days was if one brand got a dominance, it became a real dominance so everyone sort of lost as many fans as it gained.
True.
So when they started what was the modern supercar series, which was still the AU Falcon, no, it might have been the one before the AU, whatever that first version of the Falcon was, because it was before that. But you had that and the Commodore, and they were the two really that came in from that first get-go.
Yeah.
You had 2 cars built around a similar style chassis with some similar aero and engines that was spec'd to be similar output. So you had a reasonably competitive field. It really came down to which team made the best widget to who won, as opposed to that one's just a better car all round, it's going to win every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Because we watched years of dominance of Holden probably in the early part.
Yeah, because they were coming out with smaller bodies, like the LJs and the early Commodores and that. It wasn't until the VRVS that they got in an equal sort of size body.
Well, I was going to say, and then you had Stone Brothers came along with the AU Falcon and had Ambrose and sort of just started to break the mould, and then Jimmy Stone and Little, I can't think of his first name at the moment. They got together one Christmas and built the new BA Falcon, which was the first car that then dominated for Ford then for 4 or 5 years in a row. So it was the team that made the domination, not the car manufacturer. And then Holden came back and got their own back, and then so then it's fluctuated over the years, which I don't mind to see.
No, I like that era. Yeah,
but it's always been good. But you're right, you can't go. I mean, the version of the Mustang for the last couple of years has been a shocker. Doesn't look anything like a Mustang. It was a morphed looking weird thing that it didn't.
Yeah, I definitely think that like the Chargers and stuff that they've got. That's a real throwback to the early stuff. Like I think that they did those really well. As far as giving a nod to the early, the 70s and stuff like that. I think they pulled that together really well. But the look, I mean, like I'll still watch it because it's still fun and it's still motor racing. I think it's just it's almost a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of like a very commercialized version of it, but I get the safety aspect as well, and that's all fair enough. But I think it was I don't know. It's kind of like you follow. I follow more like people.
Well, it's funny. I was just about to say one thing I've noticed in supercar racing in probably the last 10 years is how many people follow a person as well as a team now.
Yeah.
And quite often one person will leave a team and go to another team and the support will go with them.
Yeah, well, look at Lownsy.
And they might have changed brands and they might have changed everything. Yeah. But they support that driver as opposed to supporting the Holden or that particular team or that particular sponsor or that particular anything. Because one thing that does change constantly is teams change brands regularly. Yeah. That just happens. Yeah. They change drivers regularly. That just happens. They change sponsors regularly. That just happens. Yeah. But those key, personnel that make up probably the 15 top drivers, they tend to be very constant for quite a career period. Yeah. So you get people who go, oh, I really like Courtney, or I really like Lownsy, or I really like Whincup, or I really, so they follow that person as a person, even if they move team to another team. So that's probably, which is a bit footy as well, isn't it? Like, someone will follow a great football player, regardless of whether he plays that team, or that team. So
we've spoken about this a little bit before too. With I'm like, it's like as the Broncos, well as in general, some of the NRL guys were, like Lockyer goes, and Sammy's gone, and God, I mean all of that era for me was like that was where I sort of ended, and I'm like, oh, I don't know anybody anymore. Yeah, I'm definitely more of that personality or that player or that driver or whatever. Yeah. But you're talking about that BA, because that was the first one where they had the V8, the XR8 hump, and was because of the supercars, wasn't it? They did that because of the supercar engine. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they put I forget what engine went into that. It was the Barrow. No, not the Barrow. No, the Barrow was the Boss. The Boss engine went in it. I think it had to do with the. But that was my understanding of it. Was it that hump was there because the Ford needed that space for the motor, and you couldn't change the body shape or something, so it came out. Probably some aero advantage too, to be honest, because at least then they still had the ability to say, let's put a hump here and a lump there. True. Because they were still making the panels here in Australia. There's that. They still had a few options. Did I hear, is Holden coming back? Did I hear they're bringing back the something? I haven't heard that, no. It might have been a bit of clickbait on Facebook, but it was. I read it and I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, because they're still up near Bribey. There's still, I think it's the Beecham. Yeah. Holden's still up there. It's all the signs are still there. Oh, he's still got the signs up? Oh, that's surprising. I know. I really want to stop and just go, oh, come on, give me a sign. not that he'd give it away, but it'd be like, honestly, the dealers wouldn't know even if it was happening. They wouldn't have a clue. Really? The dealers are the last ones to find out. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's, my knowledge of the industry has been that, the decisions made at corporate level take forever to get right down to the even the big dealership, management. Yeah, they don't know until virtually, just before it's about to happen. So when Holden closed down,
I think we all found out on the newspaper long before half the dealers did. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. How you going over there? You want another beer?
Yes,
or you good?
please.
There you go. Go on, shit hose. I did ask before. All right, now be gentle, so we don't have spillage.
well, hopefully my rough transport getting in here is better now.
What are you driving at? That's a nice looking rig.
Yeah, Mercedes. We bought a couple of them a few years ago, and
Yeah, I'll grab that one.
I think you've still got a little tiny bit left in the bottom.
Nice.
It's a bit of a go hard machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a I don't know. I was never a Mercedes fan, and funny you should say this. And of all the people, James Courtney, one of the V8 supercar drivers, said,
Yeah.
"Oh, you should have a drive of this car. It's awesome." I went, "Yeah, Courts, whatever you reckon." And I went out and drove. And holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weapon. There's no doubt about it. They're a little car, light, and about 500, 600 horsepower or something. So they're
That's enough to get you in trouble.
Oh yeah, very, very, very quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So they got so much clevers in them though. Like you can literally do stupid things and get away with it half the time. So not that I'd make a habit of that.
No, look, I think there's a lot of, because, we're talking about one of the topics that usually comes up in these is what everybody thinks about all these EVs coming out. And it's like, there's a lot of technology coming out in that stuff that's, I don't know. I still because I drive like 80 series cruisers and shit like that. I like the feeling of driving what I'm driving. And, I also don't really want to take $200,000 off road either. So there's that. But
that might be four-wheel drive. It's never left the bitumen yet.
well, but the EV stuff coming out. I mean, is there any kind of intricate sort of tooling that changes that would be a thing for you guys with that? Or
It's a little bit. I mean, the VDE programs. Funny enough, most of the tools that they need have been around for years. Electrical work has been done forever in our house and around our things. So a lot of the tools that were made for electricians have just morphed a little bit, and the range has expanded. They didn't need as many sockets and spanners and all the bits and pieces that maybe a mechanic. But the funny part about EV, the only part of the car that's dangerous is the battery.
Well, yeah.
Once you disconnect the battery, the car's a chunk of old metal like every other car. There's no chance of. So there's a sort of a methodology where you put the car in and then you disconnect the body bit.
Yeah.
Put that aside.
Yeah.
Insulate it. Make sure it's safe, and then make sure that you've deactivated anything that has a capacitor attached. So where there might be holding charge. But that's in a standard car now. There's parts like that hold power. Yeah. That's just part and parcel of modern electronics. So you deactivate all the bits, and then away you go. You're fixing a car like any other normal car. The only thing it's really done is lifted the sales for us of, VDE. You know what VDE is? I should probably do that. It's effectively a 100% safety testing rate to make sure that a tool's insulated. So in other words, it's got a layer of insulation all over the tool. Okay. That's rated up to 1,000 volts, so that if you put it on something that's live,
you're not going to get hit with it.
Yeah, as long as you're holding onto the tool in the correct method, you shouldn't get an electrical charge. So we test 100%, and each VDE manufacturer, of which we're one, we have to hold our own certificates, and we have to show that we've done our right testing, and so every tool that goes out then to a user knows he can safely pick it up, or she can safely pick it up and do something up, and know that they're safe to use that tools, because it's even that particular tool was tested, not 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000. Yeah. Every single one's made sure that it meets the standard. So that's what we've seen, is that those VDE tools, which were probably extremely low volume sellers, because they mainly went off to electrical industry, electrical manufacturing, like switchboard guys and all that. Yeah. They're now coming to the automotive industry, and and every shop's going, oh, I've got to go and buy something, and the funny part is, the one part that you really need is the tool to undo the battery, and the torque wrench, or on the tool back up, and the torque wrench to make sure you've brought it up to torque, and you reconnect it, and that's it. After that, there's not too many bits, unless you're going to be stupid. I mean, my brain, I'd always disconnect the battery, even if it's a 10-minute job. you're insuring yourself against anything that's going to go wrong. Potentially could go wrong. And after that, you can use normal tools.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many horror stories you hear about like battery issues. But there's I won't drop the name, but I mean anybody that's listening to this who's heard it before will know what I'm talking about. But because you guys have got a lot of cordless tools.
Yep.
And there's a certain brand out there that was having a lot of dramas with batteries not that long ago.
Oh, there's a lot of brands out there. They're always having a lot of dramas with batteries, and that's
what is, because I mean obviously everything was 12 volt. Now it's like the whole range is 18, and you got a whole heap of new stuff coming out with all that gear too, don't you?
Yeah, we've been in the cordless area for a long time. Like, we're not new to it. Funny enough, we've always sort of led, like probably not publicly. Like, I had a laugh. We bought out a range 10 years ago, and now, main competitor, who's probably the one you're talking about, 5 years later bought it out. Oh, how wonderful are we? And we're all going, we did that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Catch up, boys.
Yeah.
But I look at it from the point of view that, there are really premium brands in the market, and that would be us and the likes of the Panasonics and Toshiba, who you don't even see Toshiba here in Australia anymore. These are brands that are still made in Japan, made in Taiwan, that are really high end.
Yeah.
And you pay good money, but you get really good product.
Yeah.
And then there's everything else that pretty much comes out of China.
Right.
And I'm not blaming the Chinese. This comes back to their
they're filling the market. Yeah.
discussion we had before.
Yeah.
They make everything from the DIY cheapest thing you can buy down the shop, down the Bunnings or Mitre 10 or any one of the hardware shops, or even the Crazy Clarks if you want to go there. I'm sure they got one too.
Yeah.
But you can buy anything from that $10 electric battery screwdriver right through to thousands of dollars worth of impact wrenches. But they're all made in an area where you're sort of that next level down.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you're never going to emulate what the guys who've done it really well. So we sort of sit in a funny mark because we're sitting in that sort of top bracket, but we're trying to compete with the Chinese by default. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but then there's that whole, it's like someone told me years ago about you don't really. I mean, I guess it's probably different in a manufacturing thing for you guys, but like for my industry where it's pretty much each customer is me and my time. It's like you never book a work based on price because you just end up in a race to the bottom.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And I think that when you're doing something and you do it well and everything that goes with that, it's like, fuck it, the price is the price.
Yeah. And look, we're very lucky. The customers who've been loyal and stayed loyal, and the new customers we gain, we almost get 100% retention.
Yeah.
Once we get them,
they
don't leave. They go, that's it. I've found what I like now.
Yeah.
And then we did a competition only not that long ago, where we put out a thing because some new product coming out. Yeah. And we said, we want you to send us the oldest picture, and whoever can supply us the oldest operating 3/8 impact wrench, 12 volt, we'll give you a brand new one.
Right.
Well, I kid you not, they were 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. And eventually the guy who won, I don't know, he might have been about 10 years old and still running.
Yeah, right.
And I said, holy Christ, I don't even know how. I said, obviously you've used like 6 batteries. Nope. What? Yeah, right. I'm on the original battery. I said,
wow.
That's impossible. Like, just can't be done, mate. Like, battery should have. He was. We got the tool and we checked it, and the bit of serial number we could find, it all checked out. He genuinely was a 10-year-old tool. He'd used it. He said just about every day he uses it, charges it every night, never lets it go flat. Probably only uses 10% of the battery.
Yeah.
It just, the one thing we learned about that, and I probably shouldn't say it on here because it just teaches people how to make tools last longer. That's not good for business, is it? But if you charge your tool every single day, even because lithium ion works this way, if you charge it every single day, you will extend the life of the battery by an enormous amount.
Yeah.
Because most of the damage of your battery happens at the bottom end of the charge.
Okay.
So when you're discharging it, so at the bottom end of you discharging it, and at the very high end of recharging it. Now, electronically, we never let it get past what is reality, about 90%. So that last 10% probably stuffs the batteries pretty quick.
Right. That's controlled by the charger,
That's controlled by the charger, so you never get there. So you can't do it anyway. Yeah. If you never let it get to the bottom 10%, so we always let it go down to 10% roughly from the bottom and then cut it off as well, so you don't do serious damage. But even that last 10 or 15 probably is doing minor damage regardless, and everyone is in the same boat. But the guys who've unknowingly never let it go, say below 60, 70, and put it on charge, put it on.
Yeah.
They've somehow, and I don't ask me the mechanics of this, but somehow they've managed to make a battery which should have a life of, 1,000 recharges, and turned it into, 5,000 recharges.
That's
because
so
the
cool.
battery's just not ever had any serious damage done to it.
Well, all our stuff here is, it's like I've always got, I think there's 6 wall chargers there. And it's like everything is always, unless it's, I've been working late and I go, fuck it, I'm going home and I don't bother packing up that night. Every night, they're back on the wall. And and that's where they just sit until they're being used. But then...
There is one condition to that. Obviously, you've got to have good batteries in the first place.
True.
If you're buying garbage quality cells, then they're not going to last no matter how clever you are.
No.
But if you're buying good quality, from a reputable manufacturer, and, amongst them is the Sonys and the Panasonics and the really good high-end stuff, then you won't have that. That's how you make it happen. If you're buying,
rubbish,
they're not even branded; they're just unknown.
Yeah.
Then you're probably not going to get the same because the purity of the internal product is not as good. The one thing that has, funny you talk about electric cars, the upside of all electric cars is the amount of technology and work that's gone into lithium-ion batteries is absolutely phenomenal.
And it's that trickle-down effect like you were saying before too. Yeah,
it's amazing. Like the quality of even the cheap batteries now, like that you can buy, are probably not that far behind, the premium batteries of 5 years ago. They've bought themselves that far up. And that just comes down to raw material manufacturing. It's just got better and better and better. So even the cheaper stuff now is getting, God forbid, the one you buy at Bunnings that you use at home, it's a pretty good tool these days. Yeah.
Look,
for that use, of course.
I think for everybody, that there's a right, it's like a vehicle. It's like, some people are Holden, some people are Ford, some people are Ferrari, there's an ass for every seat, and there's a tool for every type of job. When I started my first workshop, I was using a lot of cheap shit, but it was like, you don't have the dollars there really because it's like when I first did it, I bought what I needed when I needed it. And it's like now you sit back and you go, right, okay, so there's a decade worth of build-up of mismatched whatever, but that was one of the reasons that we wanted to reach out to, because I'm like, I really want to go through there and just go front to back and just bring it all under, because I like, pardon me, I love consistency. Like when I'm doing a build, it's like, as much as that part is not connected to that part, it's gotta feel like they were done together. Yeah. And I'm the same with tooling and that, but it's always been such a pain in the ass to sit back and go, oh God, I've got to do everything, But the shop's been doing really well, and it's like everything's moving forward for us. And I'm like, if I'm gonna go anywhere, where am I gonna go? And that was why I reached out to get you guys to come down and have a chat as well, because it's like, what you guys do and everything else that you're involved in. There's some shops in my industry that are just painful to deal with. And there are some tool suppliers, some brands in your industry that are fucking painful to deal with. And you guys weren't one of them, and I don't believe I'm one of them. And I'm like, that, that's a good enough starting point. And everything I've learned since originally reaching out is like, it's a logical choice.
But I think you're right, though, about there is, what did you call it? A bum for every seat.
Yeah, an ass for every seat, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I think the same in the tool industry. I've got to be honest, I don't look down on any of our competitors in that sense, because I look at the ones that are big in the hardware chains, and they're big in this and they're big in, and they do a good job for the client they serve. And I'll take my hat off to them. Are we suitable for that? No.
No, that's
I'm the first person to put my hand up and go, I'm not going to sell in that industry because I'm not suitable, and not only suitable to what they do, but suitable to their hip pocket.
Yeah.
But I'm suitable to the hip pocket, and I make sure that we produce the product that you would use, and you'll be happy with for the next 10, 20, 30 years and go, I made the right choice. That's where we fit. What I probably do get a bit, not nose out of joint, but I hate people who are trying to oversell anything in life. They try and sell you something that it's nowhere near what it really is. Claiming it's better than what it is. it's this, it's that. And that doesn't matter whether it's a car or a TV or anything like that. It just really gets up my nose when something gets oversold and then you think, what a piece of crap.
Yeah.
What did I go and buy that for
Yeah.
when I should have spent, and I blame myself half the time, I should have spent the extra $500 and bought the good one, which is what my gut was probably telling me anyway. You know, we all do it.
Yeah.
We're all there going, it's $500 cheaper. Maybe what he's saying is good.
Yeah. I think as a society we are a bit like that.
And you know what? I'm doing it. I was doing it this morning. I was looking at some stuff for a race car.
Yeah.
Going, which dash am I going to buy?
Yeah.
Going through all the brand shapes, sizes. I'm sure my gut tells me what I'm not going to name brands. So I'm sure I already know which one I need to get.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help looking at all the ones and going, that's $1,000 cheaper, or that's $500 cheaper. That's inevitably I know. Use your brains. Buy the one that you know does the job, because at the end of the day, it's a small cost for the rest of the stuff that's in the makeup of what you're building anyway.
Yeah.
So you're right. There's an ask
for every seat. Yeah.
And that's the tool industry, you know, the 4-wheel drive building industry.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the aeronautical industry.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Everyone's got a perfect fit to what they do because they're catering to that customer group and they cater to them really well.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean your industry, I'm sure. There's plenty of blokes out there who've only got a budget that's this big and that's all they can afford. You know, and I look at all the blokes out there driving around with Kings, everything on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's low budget. It's cheap. It's average quality. But, you know, if they can go out on Saturday and Sunday and have fun and put up with the bullshit and it doesn't work and does work, and good on them. Yeah. And I guess as they get more serious and they get a bit more coin and time moves on, they do upgrade and invest. So
that's right.
It doesn't mean the Kings is a bad thing. They're the people that get you into the industry. They're the very ones that lead them to talking to people like yourself, or buying our tools and whatever. And you know, everyone has a progression. Very few of us start with the best of the best on day one.
I think that you're right. There's a natural progression there, and it depends on where you've come from. Because like we had this conversation with Ruthie, because when Ruthie was still in action, 4-wheel drive action, he was getting pushed pretty hard to sell all the Kings gear.
Yep.
And he got to a point where, and he was open and honest with you, got to a point where he's like, look, you stop. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, some of it's good, some of it's not good, and I'm not pushing it anymore. And they exited and did their own thing. But for an example, like your Bunnings tools, it's kind of, I mean, and, you know, Adventure Kings has come a long way. Like, they're not selling the same shit that they were 10, 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
But then having said that, you know, like a Bunnings brand grinder is on a different playing field than what the Bunnings brand grinder was 10 years ago as well.
Yep.
But what it does is it makes it accessible. That's what Kings did.
Yeah.
Because at the time when they came out, for you to go somewhere like an ARB, TJM, whatever, you were looking at tens of thousands of dollars to fit yourself out to be able to do anything, you know. And they came in and went, hang on a minute, we'll bring all this shit in container loads at, you know, discounted rates. And look, you might only get 12 months out of it, you might only get 5 trips, whatever it is. But like you said, they'll get out, it gets them into it. And unless the 4-wheel driving stuff, and Kings does this, and, you know, those Bunnings type brands do it unless you're coming up under a parent or friend group or sibling that went 4-wheel driving that can tell you, don't buy that, don't buy this, like that bit's okay, don't buy that. Or a parent or again, friend, whatever, that's had tools, go on, don't buy that. You know, this you'll get away with, whatever. That, as you get brought up, when you're discovering stuff on your own, you're not going to go and buy. I mean, I don't even know what what's a torque wrench, you know.
Well, I'll give you a great example of what you're talking about. The equivalent of Kings in our industry is Super Cheap Auto.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect example. You walk in, makes everything accessible.
Yeah.
It's all okay, but reality is there's not one thing really in the shop that, you know, obviously there's some good brands in oil and bits and pieces that are generic, but in the rest of it, it's all that sort of low to mid-range. That's what you get. Yeah. It's in the name.
But
it's called Super Cheap Auto. It's called that for a reason.
That's right.
They're not trying to pretend something they're not.
No.
You know, and if you want to go next level up, you know, you got the Burstons and the Repcos. I don't know if you know both of those, but they're your next level up, and they do it bigger and better again.
Yeah.
You know, and in their case, they have the mid-range tools and they have us and whatever is the higher range.
Yeah.
And then you go, so you're right, it just progressions up from there and where you get to what you go to.
That's what I mean, though, is it's like when you, and I'm just going to pick numbers out of my ass, but you can probably go somewhere to one of the super cheaps or whatever and buy, a torque wrench for $80, $50?
$50.
$50,
Yeah,
right.
I reckon.
And then, but then at the other end of the spectrum could be, I don't know, what, 1,000?
Yeah, top of the range, torque angle, whatever. We're probably $1,000.
Yeah.
And if you buy the snap-on equivalent, try two.
That's what I mean.
No better, but double the price.
Well, there you go. But so for the person that isn't being led, isn't being educated, they're going to go, it's $50. Like, fuck, it gets them involved.
Yep.
Which I think is still, again, ask for every seat, has a place. But there are certain things like some of the stuff that Kings does, some of the tools that you buy at Super Cheap. The more you use it, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you'll go. The more upgrades.
Funny part, you bring up torque wrench. It's probably the one item that you should never be cheap on.
Right.
Like it's the one thing that is really, really important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't torque something right, the money it costs you for not getting it right, the cost of the torque wrench is insignificant.
Yeah.
Like literally insignificant. I say to people, like I said, we got a half-inch torque wrench that sells for less than $200. It's guaranteed to be plus or minus 3%, and it's a good quality wrench that you'll get a good year out of, then get it calibrated. 9 times out of 10, they're only a couple of percent out, and they recalibrate.
Yep.
But you buy the $50 one, you can almost guarantee it's 10 to 15% out from day one. Oh, they're terrible. Well, they're just cheap.
Well, it's funny because obviously the first thing that comes to mind with talking is wheel nuts.
Yeah.
And when we had Clay from Method down here, we were talking about him, and because we don't do mechanical, I'm fabrication and basic mechanical accessory fitting, stuff like that, but we're not heavy mechanical. And we had a laugh about the doing up the wheel nuts, and it was like, oh, you just give it all the duggers, and he's like, but you can stretch the stud. How the fuck? I've threaded studs. I've seen that. Well, I haven't threaded them, but I've seen that. But I'm like, I didn't know that was really like a thing. But then, having said that, we've got Robbie next door at the tyre shop. So whenever we do anything like that, he talks them all up for me. So we get them sort of tight, and he goes, does the wheel alignment, does all the gear, and off it goes. So it's never something that I've overly worried about because I got Robbie. But yeah, it's interesting that there's you don't really think about it unless you really think about it that you could make it too tight.
Well, that's just your standard wheel nut, which is a real basic thing.
Yeah.
And you're right. And torque, the actual proper, what they call stress strain calculation is based on the length of extension of stud.
Right.
So if you want to really accurately measure something, the engineering calculation is what's the original length and what's the difference to the new length after you've torqued it up.
Right.
And that can give you, a more precise even than the torque wrench.
Wow.
But, things stretch. Even though you physically can't see them.
Yeah.
Every time you torque it up, it actually stretches a little bit. But if you go a step further, engine bolts and a lot of stuff today, we call them torque to yield bolts.
Yep.
Which means effectively you're bringing it up to torque. Then you're going so many degrees past to bring the bolt to yield, which is a terminology for effectively almost like a partial failure, I guess is the layman's way of talking it.
Right.
And that's it. That's when you know you've reached. And then you measure the yield torque, make sure you've achieved the right torque.
Yep.
That's done. Don't touch it.
Okay.
Because when you do undo it, throw them all in the bin. Start again.
Yeah.
The bolt, the stud, the whole lot goes in the bin, and you do it again.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine if you just give it the ugga-duggas,
Yeah.
you could end up with 5 bolts there that, 15 minutes after you start that engine or whatever, they break because you've gone too fast past the yield point, or you haven't come up to yield point, therefore they haven't secured the fastener correctly, therefore the gasket's not got the right amount of pressure on it. These are all tiny little calculations that make, and as I said, the cost of the torque wrench, it might be $800.
Yeah.
The cost of that diesel engine might be $80,000.
Yeah.
In bigger, I'm talking bigger stuff.
Yeah.
But, what's in the greater scheme of what you're building?
Yeah.
Why would you skimp on the, and it doesn't do one $80,000 engine. It does hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So you start to work the numbers out and
So your price per service or whatever is minimal.
And this has become one of those things that we sell a lot now about, we were talking about it earlier about, we're all about building problem-solving tool and saving time, but it's also about doing stuff that makes sure the job's done right first time, every time. That that's why you pay the money to get the good product that will save you time, do the job properly.
Yeah.
No, there's no if buts. There's not I don't have to rethink about, is that torqued correctly? Is that working? Does that?
Yeah.
It's all done. You can push the job out the door and go, confidence. Confidence that you've delivered the product the way it should be.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
From our point of view, anyway. Obviously, we can't control whether
No,
how it gets assembled.
No, but hey, look, it's all that stuff,
Yeah.
like when we sort of get to a point where we do our expansion, it's like everything, as far as, moving forward is to a certain standard. So it's like, okay, I'll do my brake pads, but I don't do customer brake pads because we're not a mechanical shop. But when we do our expansion, we've got the right layout and all that sort of stuff. We'll have the guys there to do it. And I want to make sure that, everything's done to the right way and all that sort of stuff. But I'm a fabricator. I'm like, I could pull an engine apart. There's not a fucking chance I get it back together. And I would be one of those guys like, that probably should have gone somewhere.
Yeah. Trust me, we all have those moments.
Yeah.
We pulled a gearbox out. Remember I said earlier in the show?
Yeah.
We pulled a gearbox out, and at the end of it, I went, where'd this bolt and where'd this nut come from here? Luckily, I remembered that we went looking for one because there was one in there that was wrong. And
right.
Oh, that's right. That was the one we pulled out of the toolbox to change the other one. Thank God for that.
Yeah, that gets scary, especially on something like that.
Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, that's about me 4 beers in a pit crewing for him.
Well, I can tell you, I've seen plenty of things go out in the go-kart world and the wheel falls off.
Really?
Oh, it's all the time, and it even happens. It even happens in motor racing and things that the things that you don't think about, and you talk about talking.
Yeah.
Things get dropped back on, in a hurry, drop back. Yeah, someone's rattle gunned them up, but did they get torqued up? No, they go out, do 6 laps, and the nuts start to come loose. Then breaks a stud, breaks another one, wheel's gone. So it doesn't take long. Even supercars, I'm sure you've seen plenty of wheels in the supercar field rolling off down the racetrack. Yeah. And that normally comes down to the same thing. It just, old mate on the rattle gun, and I don't know if we talked about that, but we make the majority of those rattle guns for supercars.
Yeah. Yes.
But, old gun on the mate on the rattle gun went one ugga-dugga, not enough.
See, you got to give it all the ugga-duggas.
Yeah, I know. But, when you're trying to do a pit stop in 2 point...
something ridiculous,
seconds, yeah. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Every now and then, they don't quite get it right, and that's human error. Like that, that's racing, and no one.
But that's everything on the edge too,
at the extreme level. Yeah, and that's why the guns we build, literally, we know that, within 1 or 2 hits of the hammer, which is millisecond, tenths of seconds, it'll produce 700-800 foot-pounds of torque. So you can know that you've just literally got to hear it just bang twice.
Yeah.
It should be up to speed. It should be up to torque.
Yeah.
And hopefully not 3 or 4 times, because then it'll be past torque. And then you've got the potential of the other that you can't get it off when it's all hot and, bothersome. And the likes of Bathurst, that's pretty standard.
Tenths of seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny when they do get done up too tight. I mean, the guns will make about 3,000 foot-pounds when they're fully, wound up to power. If it's jammed on, I don't know if you know, but the hub on the supercars is a steel part.
Yeah.
A single thing.
Yeah.
It's steel and the nuts are aluminium.
Right.
If you get one jam, the rattle gun just cuts a new thread. Literally, will just when you see them in the pit lane and they're bang 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 bang, and you can see it coming undone. Yeah. It's just peeling a new thread through the thing.
Through the alley section.
Just pulling it out through the wheel nut.
Yeah.
Wheel off. That nut's obviously now
shot.
Done.
Yeah.
Not that they get used. They don't regularly get used more than a couple of times anyway.
Right.
On with the works wheel, do it up, away it goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you haven't damaged the actual
the thread.
Yeah, the centre thread.
Yep.
You shouldn't have, because it's made to be one hard and one soft.
Yep.
So someone asked me the other day, do you think they'll ever change to cordless? And I said, probably not.
No.
Not in what I can envisage at the moment.
Well,
because you just can't generate that type of power.
Well, see, you've gone
in a
from
small compact.
Yeah. You've gone from 12 volt to 18 volt. Like, surely some point down the track, it's like, I don't know, 140 volt.
There is 36 and there's 60 volts and there's all sorts of, but they get bigger and the batteries get bigger and the tools
True.
get bigger.
Yeah, it's heavier.
And in supercars, we're trying to build a tool which is 3 to 4 kilos, so it's relatively light,
yeah.
makes 3,000 foot-pounds, and can still undo a wheel nut. Well, not undo a wheel, put a new one on, have it off the ground, on the ground, and driving in less than 3 seconds. So you really
That's
are.
so nuts.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
So we're actually, I'm a bit looking forward to it because we're Bathurst in 3 weeks.
Yep.
And the pit stop challenge. There's only 2 brands in Bathurst.
Yep.
One in guns, and Paoli, which is an Italian brand, is one, and we're the other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 teams in the final. Well, there's 3 teams that are our guns and 1 Paoli. So
It's almost
so,
like
so far in 20 years of pit, we've never lost one. So
yeah.
ever. So we've always been on the winning team or the winning gun.
Yeah, nice.
So we're hoping that this year remains our unbeaten streak. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be like trying to beat the All Blacks. Most times they've beaten the us. So yeah,
That's cool.
that's another thing that we manufacture. We literally manufacture in house here in Brisbane. Like
Yep.
It's done here locally. Most people can't believe that we make that product in Australia. I think they're a little bit shocked that these things still go on here. So
I mean, it's definitely not commonplace anymore.
no, it's not.
know, especially with the ease of, well, I say ease, if you can overcome the language barrier, because I think I looked at doing something years ago. I think I might have got air fresheners done. And even that was like, did my head in trying to get it outsourced, because I wanted like a couple of boxes of them, and it was phenomenally different pricing. But even just getting the logo in an air freshener in the scent that I wanted took me like 20 emails. Oh, fuck. Can't imagine trying to create something complex. No. But yeah, no, it is. It's not commonplace anymore. So doing that here is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, local jobs and everything.
And all the development happened here and all that. Its first version was created in Japan for the GT series. I think we said Samu was our original, company president, and he was the mad racer.
Yeah.
We took that, and it's evolved to now is like chalk and cheese. It's, triple the torque.
Yeah.
5 times quicker.
Yeah.
We're not quite at the F1 builds their own.
Okay.
Albeit they buy componentry and stuff from our parent factory, like bits and pieces. But we are not far behind.
Wow.
Our biggest hold up in Australia is our rule book, because we're only allowed to have X number of people on the pit lane. So the one guy has got to pull the wheel off, put the wheel on.
Yeah.
Or in the worst case, 2 guys, one doing the nut and one putting on and pulling off.
Yeah.
So I think in Formula One, if you ever watch it, there's 3 guys on every wheel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One undoes, one takes the wheel away, one puts the wheel on, and the guy does it up again. Well, it's just insane how quickly they can do it. I think they're down to the less than 2 seconds. But that's human mechanics, not
Physically being able to just move your body that quick.
well,
too, yeah.
and the fact they've got enough people to do it. So
True.
yeah.
What's as far as one of the things that we normally ask on here is like what everybody does with their downtime and trips and touring and stuff like that. Do you do much touring? Do you get out?
Yeah, well, not at a racetrack.
Yeah.
So my main touring is this racetrack, that racetrack, somewhere where be it go karts or be it thing. I do a lot of that. I do enjoy getting out. Like probably I've done more overseas travel than local. All saying that, I have been everywhere in Australia.
Yeah.
Not in a 4-wheel drive, but on a motorbike.
Oh, that's cool, though.
Yeah, I'm a mad old enduro rider that ended up going with adventure bikes and involved in the KTM and enduro and off-road stuff for quite a long time with the factory team and being involved in all that, and then became obviously time came along and became the sponsor and looked after those guys and got to know all those guys, from the right back at the Andy Calder cuts right through to to Toby Price and you probably notice it now. Chucky Sanders is one of our ambassadors. So that comes from my history in the same sport. Yeah. So then we as a group of mates, for all riding, decided that if we were going to see Australia, we'd do it on the back of a 1,000cc dirt bike. Because
that's cool.
Far, and I hate to say it, there's a whole lot of 4-wheel drivers. I'm probably saying the wrong audience here. They probably have cursed us and abused us as we've gone tearing up and down the highway or up and down dirt roads where we can do 100.
Yeah.
And they've got to do 30 or 40 just because the conditions of that. So, So as I say, we've seen Australia in the fast track.
Look, hey, there's lots of guys that'll go touring, and they'll beach, bush, wherever, and it's and they'll have additional toys.
Yeah.
That's why we got toy haulers.
That's exactly right. So we did it with, a swag, a box full of tools for fixing stuff, and a bit of tucker and a spare bottle of rum just in case you had to spend a night out in the scrub where you weren't expecting to. So,
that sounds cool.
And a sat phone for just in case of emergency.
Yeah,
come and get us. Yeah. One of us is really broken.
That'd be cool. I'd love to do I'd love to do like the Harley trek around Australia. No, that's not right. I love the thought of doing a Harley trek around Australia. I think I get about 3 hours into it and be like, fuck this, I'm going home. Yeah. Give me a seat with aircon.
Well, I've still got it now. Been riding that bike as a KTM 990 for quite a long time. It is a bit like a Harley, though. It's a big bike, big seat.
Yep.
You sit up, you cruise.
Yeah.
And you can choose whether you want to sit up and cruise easy.
Yeah.
Or whether you want to stand up and
get into it,
be a lunatic.
Yeah.
and become a rally. Try and be a rally rider.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a choice, and we did. We've done. The Simpson Desert. We've done top to bottom. We've been to Fink Desert Race, all through WA, the Tanami, up the Gibb River, all pretty much. Everywhere and anywhere you can go, and there's a nasty dirt road which we can attack, and a good mate, and a lot of it's come off the back of a really good mate of mine owns a thing called the APC Rally, which is an annual event you can go online and find and pay your money, and you get on your bike and you pretty much ride the eastern seaboard from top to bottom, and it takes about 2 weeks. Great, and great with a group of mates. Like you don't have to spend a lot of money. Like
no,
you can buy a dirty old friggin' DR 400.
Yeah.
Second hand for a couple of grand.
Yeah.
Old swag, and away you go, and the boys have a great time. And they go from pub to pub and enjoy themselves. So I've done a lot of touring, but more that style than anything else. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. We won't hold it against you.
That's all right.
It's look, people getting out like the way that the world is at the moment, and work-life balances and all that stuff. We've mental health and all that sort of stuff has been a topic on the show, the podcast a few times, and it's like, I still haven't gone away. Every fucking time we talk about this, I still haven't had a holiday. I got sick. I had a bloody chest infection a few weeks ago, and I had Monday off. That's about the closest thing to a holiday I've had. It was 3 days. But I say that, and I have a bitch and a whinge, and I do want to go away, but and I think you're probably very similar. It's like I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones, because I do get up to work each day and go, like, I'm excited to go in. I love what I do. So it's it's a bit of a balance almost of going, okay, it's time to go home. Not I can't wait to go home. I'm like, fuck, I probably should go home.
Oh, look, it's like any business. The only stressful bits is the money side, when you're trying to sort everything out. The corporate bits and all that.
Yeah,
that gets a little bit. But I very quickly, I often say this. You get into the stuff you enjoy, whether it be designing or new products or whatever you're doing, and that's sort of fun in a weird way.
Yeah.
But then I go to the racetrack, and your brain switches from that to, I want to I'm going to make this widget go faster.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So and it is a completely different world, and all that stuff thing. So I guess my mental health scenario is that if you're doing something else that you really invest in and engross yourself in, then it gives the brain time to forget about someone who's driving you nuts over there about something else, and so it's about changing your environment constantly to be in fresh new situations that give you a bit of they are work-life balance. Be it you might be working on a bloody car, or you're still it's not working for work, it's working because you enjoy it.
Yeah. It's good. And what you guys are doing is really good. I'm looking forward to the new. You got some new products coming out in the cordless stuff this year too.
Yeah, we have. We've got a new thing that was talking about there, the new SX range, which is the best battery I think we've ever made, and I don't know of anything else out there. I mean, drop tested from 2 meters over and over and over and over. It's actually been designed because the mining industry in Australia is so big, and they destroy things so quickly,
right?
Beyond. Mechanics look like bloody, like Ultra Boys in comparison.
Yeah, okay.
But they destroy. We actually went about saying, well, how can we build a better product we can put it into an industry where they are renowned for being rough and have something that will actually last. So there was a lot of work went into, vibration, absorption, all sorts of stuff. Not necessarily had to make more power.
Yeah.
We made more power than we needed to begin with. So
Yeah.
it was all about how can we make more power and make these things actually go and endure the roughest environment we can throw them at.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like we've done 3 years of product testing, so which is unheard of.
Yeah, right.
Most people rush things onto the market too quick and they fail, they don't work, vibration kills them. I had one of our competitors, rush to the market with a similar style of power product. 3-6 months they were coming back quicker than they were going out the door. So
Well, these days,
Yeah.
how many things do you see are on recall? It's everywhere.
yeah, and then we were the other way going, well, we're almost there. We want to make that little change and then test that, or another little change. So sometimes those little changes that, you feel like you're losing the battle because you haven't got it on the market. But when you do get it there, and which is what this whole new program's about, it's like, it got called SX. So we're finally ready for it.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a play on words around our place.
Nice.
We finally got to an age where we're allowed to do it.
Well, I think, look, I love it. I think the concept of that, it's that, the putting off the instant gratification for a better end result.
And that's exactly what we've done, and we're really happy with what we've produced. So as it starts rolling out, I think the first couple of products have already hit the market.
Yeah.
But as a real product, and we'll do a big product launch early next year once the whole range is ready to go. But very excited. And the first ones have now already rolled into the mining world, and we're getting good reviews already. And for that reason, it's a bit of a soft get it in there, make sure if we're going to fine tune anything else before we really push. But we're pretty confident now that we're going to go hard. And it's a big industry.
Yeah.
And it's another homegrown industry that I think needs a as I was saying before, right product for the right industry.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been about. The byproduct for the automotive industry, they get a product that is just going to be
More trickle down.
awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous for the
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a day out and go down and have a check out all this cool gear. Go down and have a squiz. We got to come down. We got to fit some stuff out. We got to.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy.
Got to get down there and have a look.
Come down there. It's the world's biggest toy shop.
Yeah, I've seen it online. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be fucking dangerous, especially now that I know they got beer. Oh dear. All right, so God, I think we've covered a bit of stuff. How long have we been chatting away for?
I don't know.
We're at 2 hours. Good Lord, 2 hours and 2 beers. I've behaved.
And you've got to edit this down to what?
No, not much.
Not much. No, there's not a lot of structure, not a lot of edit. It's we kind of just let it flow. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy learning stuff and hearing stories and stuff.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Funny part is every time I start these type of things, that reminds me of something.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, we've had some fucking rabbit holes here. Yeah, we have had some rabbit holes. It's usually
The better ones are off camera.
Yeah, sometimes there's been some ones off camera. Ruthie was telling me how he was. This was on camera though, but he was telling me how in the early days he was writing for Live to Ride, and the other stuff he would write for was it Penthouse or something?
Yeah, Penthouse or Playboy, one of them.
One of them.
Don't tell me he got his articles mixed up.
Well, this is the thing. He goes.
That's the wrong grease for the wrong application.
Wow. These guys are out in the bush, and there's a bunch of them. I think he was running a sharing group or something like that, and he's cooking for them, but he would write in articles to get some extra cash. And he's like, he used to, I don't know, it was Esmeralda or some shit. He used to write in for the not the oracles, what is it, the star sign shit?
Yeah.
But he'd get stuff from like the 30s or 20s or whatever and just reword it for today's language and copy and paste. But he'd also write in stuff that was like the story time of someone had written in a letter about, the dodgy stories, like the made up shit. But he'd be like, he'd say to the boys, if you got, I can't remember the exact words, I'll fuck it up, but it's like, if you guys were touring around wherever and you had to stay at a traveller's lodge and there was 20 Swedish backpackers, females, and there was only one shower, what would you do? And all the boys would be throwing ideas at him and he'd be writing it down and sending it in. He's like, he'd write these stories. He's like, oh, it's a bit embarrassing. It's like, I haven't told too many people this. And I'm like, fuck, you're embarrassed. I remember reading that shit. Now I know it's a bunch of bearded pricks in the bush talking shit. Oh, fuck me. But oh, God, there's been some good stuff. There's been some good stories.
The boys at the back of a beer shearing shed, they're a rough old bunch.
Oh, I can imagine. Like, jeez. But it's like, I think you've scarred my memories of my teenage years. Anyway, it's a bit of fun. So what? Anything else going on? You want to cover anything else? You want to wrap this one up?
No, I think we probably covered enough. I bought a few other bits and pieces, but I think we.
What do you got? What do you got down there?
I bought a new ratchet that we're in the middle of finishing our design. It's a bit of a not quite done. I only bought this to show you the other thing. So,
how do you get the? How do you? Oh, it doesn't have a release. Oh, it does.
No,
it's just a press.
Sealed. No, it's a seal head, and this is the big push globally at the moment to stop all the what do you call it, dirt getting into the ratchet center and grit and crap. So it's about making better things and flex heads with locking mechanisms and trying to. It's all about call it the key word in the top end of the tool industry. Right now, the key word is access.
Yeah.
Because the one thing the car industry's done is made access even more diabolical every year. Everything gets smaller and tighter and great if you're on the dating scene, not so great if you're in the car mechanic scene.
So, that got dark quick. I was going to say, like, I'm not racist. I don't even fuck where you're from, but there is definitely times where I'm taking shit apart and I'm like, there is a little Asian hand put this thing together. Yeah. And my big clobbers get stuck.
And the weird part is it's not. What's happened is the car gets built, click, 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 and then the parts keep getting put on and put on. So the bit you want to get to down there, that was step 7 in 30 steps. I don't want to have to pull off the other 24 to get back down there. So it's all about getting, how do we get into that weird little spot to undo that one bolt?
In all fairness, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But my stubbornness and irritation with taking shit apart makes me say there was a fucking little hand got down in there and mine won't fit. You know what? We do it when every now and then we'll do a snorkel. And like the 80 series is a good one for it. So we take out if it's a plastic snorkel, with the vulcanized bolts and you got to set it in, got to take the indicator out to get up to do them up, unless you take the guard off and all that. But at times I've gone, I can get my arm up there and you're reaching through and you're getting I'm not little, but you're getting through the tightest of spaces and just to get like a fingertip on something to do it up. But then obviously, you got tools and the ratchet spanners and all the other good gear, but every now and then you pull your arm out and it's like, oh, you're scarred to shit.
Yeah.
Taking bark off everywhere, but it's just because I refuse to take the 4 or 5 things off first. I can get there, it'll be all right.
Don't you love it when you see someone who's done something, though, to fix a problem? I on the weekend, there's on these little XL race cars, there's got a hydraulic clutch in it. Yeah. And the bleeder nipple is, I don't think it was even an little Asian hand. It was like a hole to get down there with your hands, and you got to come from 2 angles to try and get at this thing, and then you're trying to bleed it and pump clutches and whatever. Yeah, it's the worst job. Right. I normally only do it when the radiator's out because I can get access to it. Yeah. And on the weekend he said, "Oh, we'll bleed the clutch." This is another team, and my immediate thought was, "You've got to be fucking kidding." Yeah. I'm not doing it. And I look at it, and he's put a braided extension and a little clip up the top, so he's lifted the bleeder nut right to the top of the thing, and I've gone, man, you are the most intelligent bloke I've ever met. Yeah. You've removed what is a shit job with 4 inches or 6 inches of, hydraulic line or, braided line. Yeah. To make it just done.
What a great idea.
And I was going, why didn't I ever think of that?
Yeah. Because
I don't know if I was annoyed at myself because I was so stupid not to think of it. Yeah. Or I was so impressed with him because he did think of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the part I was going to say. It's like every now and then you'll get caught. And because I still get it every now and then, so like taking something apart, I consult every memory and every thought process and every trying to work something out. And then if I get stuck with a clip or something, it's like, all right, there's some lunatic's done a video on this on YouTube. And it's like when you see it and you go, fuck, are you serious? Okay. And it's like once you know it, like that, once you know it, you're like, how fucking obvious was that? But it's that moment where you're like, I don't know if I'm irritated at myself that I didn't come up with it or what it is. But yeah, I get that. There's a bit of that in
It
this
is
industry.
funny, isn't it? Like, the panel industry is the one that gets me the best. Like,
Yeah.
I did a revision mirror on a little A-class Mercedes the other day.
Yeah.
And I got this thing, and my stepdaughter's clipped a, I don't know what she's clipped, but she's clipped something and smashed the passenger thing. So
Right.
I gone down to Mercedes. How much for a mirror? Because it's just shattered the mirror.
Yeah.
$4,700.
Good Lord.
You know, I'm just exaggerating, but it
Right,
was
okay, fuck.
it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was $600 or $700 for
Yeah.
a mirror.
Yeah.
And I've gone, you've got to be kidding me. So I get online. Oh, $49.
Yeah.
This can't be too hard. I should be able to do this. Let's get the old eBay buy, get
Yeah.
it there, get it in. Damn, I bought the wrong one. I realised as soon as I got it, I didn't get the one with the lane, the lane departure thing,
yeah,
the little light anyway.
Yeah.
Damn. So I go back to eBay. Oh, $59. I'm going, I can have two mirrors. I'm still $600 in
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
I order the second one. It turns up, and then I've got it, and I'm looking at them going, I wonder how that goes off. I wonder how it goes on. So I've rung a mate of mine who's a paddle beater. How do you get this off? You just yank it off. What?
Yeah.
Really? Yep. Just give it a good hard yank. So, it does come off. I get the thing off. Oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Then I go to put the new one, and of course I just got a screwdriver and put it under and pried it off.
Yeah.
Thinking, that's all good.
Because it was already broken anyway.
Yeah, it was broken. I didn't give a shit.
I know where this is going.
Poof! On goes the new one.
Yeah. Crack.
Put the wrong one on.
Oh, right. Fuck. Okay.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Now I got to get and I'm, call me being a tight ass here, but I want to get the new one or the first new one off without breaking it.
Right.
Because we maybe should just keep that as a spare if she's going to do this again.
Yes.
If she might have a lane departure. So then I'm trying to get it without using the screwdriver because I'm thinking what you're going.
Yeah.
This is just going to end up cracking and
Yeah.
breaking and whatever. And once you know, it just was like, put your fingers at, tick, put
Yeah.
the fingers, pop.
Yeah.
It was such an easy job. I must have spent 2 hours out there dicking around. And then when I finally worked it out, it was a 2-minute job. Not
Yeah.
even a 2-minute job. It was a 60-second job.
Yeah.
Like it frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Plenty of cursing, plenty of thing. But I saved $600.
Well, there's
Which
that.
I probably shouldn't advertise this because it's not the...
No, hey, I agree. I'm like, you know what? I reckon there's probably 10-15% of customers that come down here that I send away telling them how to do what they came here to get me to do. Because I'm like, it's a similar kind of thing. Like, especially when you're like, all right, this is $1,000 job, but there's like $50 worth of stuff and it's going to take an hour, but everybody's charging $1,000. I'm like, I have a drama with that, and I'm like, I don't have like a minimum charge. I just won't do minimum charge work. I'd rather go, look, if you want me to do it, that's fine, but let's book something else in, and I'll just do that. And while I'm doing that, we'll do the job, because I'm not charging you for 7 minutes. But a lot of the time, it's people will come down. I'll just go, look, if you just go down here, grab that. This is where this will come off. Press here, do similar kind of thing. You'll be sweet. And it's saved them like, again, a few $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you don't know, it sometimes it's like impossible to work out. And there'll be a screw, a clip, whatever, that's just it's either hidden or it just needs that bit of pressure that you feel like you're going to break it. But yeah, it's just that little bit of knowledge is.
Yeah. I tell you, knowledge is something that's, you laugh about this. Many, many years ago, an agricultural field days.
An agriculture
Field day.
feels
So
like a
they-
school day going out somewhere.
Like there's a place called Farm Fest out of Toowoomba, and
Right.
all these, tractor companies and
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
irrigations, and
Yep.
there's thousands of exhibitors, all with different agricultural equipment.
Yeah.
Whatever. And we used to do them for years. With
It's like an expo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, and they call them a field day, but
Okay.
so all the farmers from all over the downs all come in. And thousands of people turn up, and we used to go out there with a couple of customers, and we'd set up all our compressors and air tools and bits. And this is even before the days before we did hand tools.
Yeah.
Set everything up, and then all the farmers, tell me what this one and that one. I need one for the shed. So we ended up selling, probably 20, 30, 40, depending on the year. Some
Yeah.
years were really good. And one year there, I'm sitting there, and this lady's come up and she said, I bought this property and I need to get a compressor. And is this one a good one? And I said, hand on heart, it's a good one. Don't worry, it'll do what you need it to do. And I said, you have any issue, anything, you ring me. I said, I don't do what I get, but here's my card. You get home and it doesn't work. And I could almost tell that she was just a bit, not experienced with you. I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just got to pump up this and pump up. Oh, okay. So sold her a hose and a tyre inflator and a few bits and pieces, and off she goes with the compressor. Anyhow, the very next day, she rings me. And I've gone, hello. And I didn't realise, hello, how you doing? This compressor, it must be faulty. I've gone, oh. I said, all right, what's it doing? Well, it won't start. I go, oh, okay. Well, tell me what it's doing. Well, I've been doing it. It won't run. There's nothing. It's just not starting. I said, I know this is going to sound stupid, but the tank's not full of air, isn't it? Because, it won't start if it's full of air because it doesn't need to start. It's already pumped up the tank.
Yeah.
How do you think I'm stupid? And I said, no, I'm just checking the obvious first. No, it's got no air in it. I said, all right, just pull the valves just so I know that I can hear it. If it's pulls the valve, no air. I said, all right. I said, I go again. Don't shoot me here, but we're going to start with the real basics. I go over to the power point. Is it turned on at the power point? Is it plugged into? Because you'd be surprised how many people forget to do this.
Yeah.
It's turned on. Yep, I've checked it. All right, let's go to the compressor. There's a black box on the end. It's got a big red button on top. Yep. I said, is that red button? Have you got it pulled up, in the on position? And there's sort of silence. She goes, I've been turning that fucking red button for 2 days.
Turning it?
And I hear, brrrr.
There you go. Oh, fuck me.
I said, are we all good now? And she goes, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you took the time and you didn't take the piss out of me. I said, don't worry. I'll remember this for a long time.
Yeah. You should wait till I hang up the fucking phone. Oh, that's gold. Fucking been turning it. Oh.
And the way she delivered it, I've been turning that button for bloody hours and nothing was happening.
Yeah, but you know what? I tell you, there's been bits where you fucking want to facepalm yourself with stuff like that, and you just go,
it's
are you
so
fucking
obvious
serious?
when you realise.
Yeah. Oh, it's good fun though. It's always good to take the piss out of yourself.
Yeah.
Can't take yourself too seriously. What a cool old bird. That's gold.
And she laughed, hung up quietly, thank you, and obviously, and they've heard from again. So obviously everything went and worked well after that.
Oh, that's gold. All right, so retail stores, where can people, if they've been living under a rock and don't know where you are, where are you guys in?
Well,
that wasn't very good English.
No, that's fine. Mainly industrial things. So the likes of your Sydney Tools, they're probably the biggest ones that stock a reasonable range.
Okay.
Total Tools, some of them yes, some of them no, depending on which one, but they're also another source. The Burson Automotives are another one. You can order product through the Repcos and the likes, and any of those big ones like that.
Yep.
But those, Sydney Tools, Bursons are probably your two. One as a tool shop, one as an automotive shop.
Yep.
We obviously have a lot of stuff go online.
Yeah, okay.
And I, it's not that I encourage everyone to buy online because some people don't like it, some like to feel it.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I find is you're buying replacement, a ratchet.
Yep.
Perfect example. You want to buy a replacement ratchet. 9 times out of 10, the local shop just doesn't stock it. We've got over 4,500 product lines.
Wow.
You need half an acre to put it there. There's that many bits. So they'll carry a range of products, a couple of hundred, but 4,500, that's a fairly, so we get a lot of...
one brand too, yeah.
Yeah, and of course then multiple. So we have a lot of people who just go to our online store, pick out the 3 or 4 bits they need replacement-wise, bang, press the button and order what they want and get it delivered next day or the day after. So it's become, I'm probably one of the worst when it comes. I don't order that much stuff online, but
I'm very touchy-feely with that stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I order a bit. I just ordered 2 mirrors, didn't I? And still stuff to go. But
50-50 shot.
But the point being is, your 10 mil socket is a 10 mil socket. You know what I mean? Like it's not hard to work that out. So we had a lot of people buy all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the touchy-feely, the tool kits and the bigger stuff, and then they do go to the shop and have a look, and that's when the stores like the Sydney Tools or the Bursons are a little bit more, they do have it, and but there's nowhere anywhere in Australia that would carry even close to a tenth of the range.
And they can't.
It can't be done.
They can't go to you direct either.
Well, going through the web store is going direct. And
But
we
not-
we are a manufacturing wholesale company. So
Yes, it's not a
you know,
retail
we
outlet
got-
anywhere.
Yeah, we got 12,000 square metres of space
Yeah.
around Australia, but it's all brown boxes. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Not much to look at.
No,
so,
I get that.
And it's all in the back of an industrial estate, which is how we operate. But
Yeah.
but our stores are pretty good, and generally, if they can't find something, if they call the look up SP Tools, their numbers are on the net.
Yeah.
We're there. We'll generally direct them somewhere where we know there's certain things, or we'll make a phone call to the local rep who will be able to point them in the right direction for whatever they want to buy.
Yeah.
More often than not, while there's not one store who carries everything, there's a fair range of stuff amongst a group of stores, and their local sales guy will know.
Yeah.
Bill's Tool Shop, he's got that.
Yeah.
Go down there and see him.
Yeah, and those big boys like SP and all that. I mean, they're fucking everywhere now. So
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so you got sptools.com.
Oh, here we are. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
That's the website.
You got anything you guys are getting involved with is all over your socials. So all your YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Everything's up there. You can click through to just about anything and everything.
Yep.
The one thing that we get a lot of questions about there's the young fella from the weekend.
Oh, there you go. There's
There you
a
go.
little Excel.
Yeah,
That's cool.
The credit stuff, something we get a few questions about. The what do you call it? SP Easy Credit, which is a lot of our bigger, when they buy bigger stuff, that $5, $10, $15, $20,000 toolkits.
Yeah.
We have a lot of guys. So the Easy Credit access is all on there. So
Right.
yeah, it's all up there. It's all pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, cool. And then what are we on now? Facebook and all that. So you got but anything you get involved with, any of the stuff you got coming up is all over your socials.
Well, that's the sort of the we are back. That means the SP cars back at Bathurst this year, and the grid girls are coming back. They've been they've been what do you call it? Missed for a few years, as I keep getting told. So we're going to put them back on track this year and go out and have a bit of fun, and let them walk the track at Bathurst. That's a skill all unto its own, going over the top of the hill.
Wow, especially in fucking heels.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right. So
I was just going to say the bloke's up there drinking beer and trying to avoid
that. Yeah, there's that. Oh, my God. All right. So all the socials, SP Tools on Facebook, Instagram. Got the SP Tools YouTube channel and sptools.com for any of the gear or anybody wants to order anything if they're not going to go to the local shop.
Yep. That's it. One of the things just popped up there, the Toolbox Tours, they're pretty good. We did a whole series of every toolkit and what's in it, and it's like a walkthrough of everything. I had a lot of people come back and say they really, really like it because they're looking at a kit, they're not quite sure, and then they do what we call a tour, and it literally walks them through the box, the contents, how it's laid out, all the bits and pieces. They almost don't need, you do need if you want to go and touch and feel it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like touch and feel without doing the touch and feel.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that like a...
That's it. Toolkit tours. That's it.
Yeah, click on that, Shawnee. Is it a video?
Yeah, every kit has its own video, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, if you click on a particular kit, and normally you can go down to
This is
below
one.
so if you go on any particular, just pick a kit.
Yeah, just click something.
Yeah.
I just want to have a squiz.
And then if you scroll down, should be go down, and there should be a link then to the. I hope this all works the way I hope it works. nothing like getting through the kit. Oh, and I think we picked one that doesn't have it. I love that.
Fuck, good on you, Shawnee.
You're welcome.
But anyhow, normally you go down, there's a link below,
Yeah.
and you'll see the little YouTube link in it, with the picture of the kit, and when you go through, and it's all sitting there and written up. So
Yeah, cool. That's cool. That's a good idea.
yeah,
That's a good idea. I like that exploded view too. That's cool.
yeah,
Get a bit of a better
showing,
idea.
showing you what's in some of the drawers. So
Yeah. That's good. Oh,
There's
all
one.
your easy
There you go,
credit.
look.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, just go down below. That's the actual video. There it is. See, and then you click on that, and it rolls through, and it'll give you all the guff. And there's this sort of weird bloke that does the voiceover that's familiar, sound a bit familiar.
That's very cool.
Yeah. That doesn't sound right.
I think this is almost like just a little promo
Yeah,
for
that
it.
is a promo one. You're right.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, all
There
those text
you
series,
go.
there
Text
they are.
series and all that stuff.
Yeah.
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 That's cool. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, we're gonna have to organise time to come down there and have a squiz because we gotta get a bit of new gear in here, and I think it's high time we brought it all back so it's all consistent.
Yep, absolutely.
I like the consistency. Well, look, man, Tom, I really appreciate you coming down. I really appreciate the beers too. That was not bad. We're gonna have to come down and raid your stash.
I better move it out of the office quick.
You better. This is all really cool too. Yeah. That there's a game changer. So I don't know how you just came up with that, but that's fucking awesome. That's going to come in really handy. But look, man, I really appreciate you coming down. I know you guys are really busy. I know you got a lot going on, especially a lot coming up soon. So I appreciate your afternoon.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have to get you back again because I know you got some cool gear coming out. So
great to have a yarn as usual.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So hope we can share a little bit of knowledge. There's probably a bit more in there that if I think hard, I can explain a few more things.
There's always next time. And geez, I'm going to tell you what, you rock up here with beer, mate, that's the golden ticket. That is the golden ticket. But
I just got to remember that, don't I? Bring beer, welcome back anytime.
Absolutely.
That sounds like my house, actually, come to think of it.
Well, hey, look, mate, it's always good to have you on. I love learning stuff. I love stories and all that, and you guys are involved in a lot of cool shit, and that's the only drama now is that he's going to ramp up this whole go-kart thing, so now I'm fucked. But
yeah, well, that's not my problem.
No. Well,
hey, so you probably noted I've got my own set of problems up there on the screen.
Yeah, my drama would be that I would just have, fuck, if I had your job, my shed would just be too full of tools and shit. Although,
don't worry, I've got that problem now.
There you go.
But like everyone who does anything, well, they say the plumber whose toilet's not plumbed in properly and the builder who hasn't finished the deck and the thing. I'm the tool salesman who's toolkit at home.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say it's due for a serious upgrade because I think I put a demo box and some bits and pieces in a box one day to work primarily just on a couple of motorbikes at home. That's all I've really got at home. Everything else is at the workshop.
Yeah.
Because we have it you come to the office, had a quick look.
Yeah.
We got a full race workshop with everything there.
Yeah.
And I generally go into work when I want to do stuff, even on the cars. But my little bit at home, it's terrible. It's like I look at the stuff we do and I go, why don't I take one of these home?
Yeah.
I really need to think about this.
Yeah.
But then I go, that just tempts me to go and do work in the garage at home, and that's the whole work life. When I go home,
you're at home.
At home.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm very, very minimal at home.
Yeah.
As long as I can hang a new photo frame or something like that for my missus, that's about the size of it. Just fix a squeaky door hinge.
I got a bottle of silicone spray and a screwdriver. I can fix anything.
That's right. You need a hammer.
And a hammer.
And a hammer. There it is.
Sorry.
All right, buddy. Thanks very much for coming down, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.